before people think I took another
We're
DM
here.
sabbatical. Hello.
Hi.
We're back.
Been here the
Back
whole
again.
time.
Hello, or welcome. Been a minute.
It's been 2 weeks a minute, but I had to take a DM sabbatical last week, but now the whole group is here again. It is no more, what was that, 4 weeks of separation?
I believe so. That's
Yeah,
about right.
Yeah,
Wow.
2 and 2.
It's been so
So,
long.
and plus 2 weeks
haven't been
off
uploading
due
those
to
thumbnails, have
a
I?
double sabbatical for the Dungeon Master. So it is 6 weeks since this group has been officially fully together. So welcome back, everyone.
Thank you.
Time skip.
Yay, we're back.
Time skip. Yes.
3 years.
For anyone who's
3 cheers for
unaware,
the time
who
skip.
might either A, have missed the last session and decided not to catch up, or missed the last 2 sessions technically, or just is new and is like, hey, I'm on Twitch. Someone's streaming Dungeons and Dragons. I'm gonna watch it. We're like 97 episodes into
93.
this
I was just looking.
93. We're 93 episodes.
This is episode
Technically
93.
94 with the secret episode.
Well,
Yes, with
that
our
one was
Gloss
marked as
episode.
whatever that episode the before 0.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the half
0.5.
episode.
The half episode.
Because it ended so fast.
like
nothing
15
happened.
minutes.
So they're like 30 minutes of do a puzzle. Actually, just kidding. We skipped the whole puzzle. Okay, we're
Yeah.
here now.
Oh, that was when Eric skipped the whole
Yeah,
fucking
it's just
yeah,
when
he
Eric
uses
just,
ability
he
to
rolled
skip
just
the
like a
puzzle.
30 something.
All
It was
these
like,
skeletons.
cool.
Yeah.
Here we are.
But yes, we are back. Everyone is back. And we're going to go ahead and jump into this thing pretty quickly here because we're, as we have been since pretty much the last year, incredibly late to our own session. So at this point, I'm almost just tempted to change it to 8. Like our official start time is 8, but we're still going to all get together at 7:30. Get all the talking out. So, unless anyone has anything else interesting they'd like to say, I'm going to go ahead and start with a quick recap. Kind of a full recap of like the last, I would say, 4 sessions, just the whole battle at Pragla kind of thing recap.
Deal.
Nice.
Cool. Just I think everyone needs a refresh, not just the audience. Yeah. So, yes. It has been a 3-year time skip, but what has led up to that 3-year time skip is a massive battle that overtook Pragla, the capital here in the Vanatirian Peninsula. The party had unknowingly resurrected Braska, or as his real name is Peter, the kind of devil of this world, you could say. And he was kind of a little bit of an interesting guy, but ultimately his intentions, though at first strange, but possibly good, or, I guess not horrible, they kind of came to the forefront, and an entire army of undead from a beckoning sicked itself upon Pragla. Party, realizing with a few other characters that the city doesn't have a great way to defend itself, decided to split the group. Half would go and summon a chicken army that Sentinel, our guardian fowl, has privy to. The other half would go and explore the Vanatirian castle, which seemingly was overwhelmed by undead for inexplicable reasons. Kind of these two things were happening concurrently. Sentinel, Jamie, and Arby, the alternate version of Darby, went and obtained the chicken army, where the group talked to the Council of Chickens, convinced them that they should fight for Elyssia, and possibly gain their own sentient, not really sentient, but their own political dominion that they have lacked for their entire existence. That was enough for the Council of Chickens, and Sentinel, Jamie, and Arby returned to Pragla to fight a giant horde of undead to the main gates, which they successfully did and managed to enter the city, and the army of chickens more or less managed to quell the oncoming undead. As for the castle team, they headed to the Vanatirian castle, where they realized that not only was it overrun with undead, but most of the undead had come from people literally having their skeletons ripped out of their bodies. They had to find a way into the king's chambers, and when they did, they learned that King Alistair Vanatir was himself aligned with Braska and the undead, kind of having self-corrupted himself to believe that Braska or Peter's way or thoughts were correct, and that there was no hope for Elyssia, and he was preparing to sacrifice his sister Alma to make her some type of ultimate undead or major undead. The party fought against both King Alistair and the eventual changed Elma. They were victorious, but they learned that Jayla, the champion of Highwater, who was with them, is actually herself an undead masked by a magic ring. She had the party flee from the castle, where they have vanished ever since, while she uh, fended off the oncoming guards who were about to walk into a room where King Alistair and his sister appeared normal but dead. It was at this moment that, or not this moment, but shortly after that, Sentinel, Jamie, and Arby saw a large, angry, crazed mob form in Pragla, seemingly out of nowhere, without really any reason that this would have happened. Basically executing people that they deemed should be executed for this, and Jayla was one of them. Through Dr. Watts's kind of forethought, he managed to round up with the others a large group of people and escort them out of the city before anything too crazy could happen, creating the first pocket of survivors. And that, unless anyone can remember anything else of major importance that I may have missed, is kind of the gist of it all. And we currently are 3 years later, the party having no contact with each other for this entire time. There being plenty of changes that will be addressed here within the next 3 years. All right. Nothing from anyone. No peanut galleries. No comments. Things I missed.
I mean, there was a
only thing I could think
3-day
of-
sleeper Rooney that we were in.
There's the
Yeah.
what?
We took a 3-day nap, didn't we?
One
Oh,
day.
yes, that was
24 hours.
Oh,
24
that's
hours.
24
Yeah, you
hours
guys. When you
during
guys
our
started exploring the
castle
castle, you got in a trap and ended up getting knocked out for 3 days.
Sentinel
It
got
was
to
only
pad
one
his
day.
stats like
Braska
crazy.
Jumped the gun, right?
What?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I thought we
Braska
got
came
only
in
knocked out.
early. Yeah.
One sec. There's like 3 people talking. Starting with Azrael. What did you say?
I was just saying, I think we only got knocked out for 24 hours, and it
Correct.
was Braska who jumped the gun. Instead of
Yes.
waiting his 3 days, he attacked with
He
it.
attacked on day
one.
2. Or actually, he attacked
Correct.
on day 1. Started attacking on day 1, but went like all in on days like 2 and 3.
Darby, what were you saying? Unless it was related.
I said Sentinel got to pad his stats like crazy on the kill count because he killed a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, basically, Dr. Watts like just slingshotted him into the middle of the battle.
Yeah, he killed
Yes,
like
yes, I
40
did.
something skeletons in the battle. It was ridiculous. I think is the single highest killed enemy just in everything now. Yeah, it became the skeletons you killed in that battle have now outranked or are now more than all of the sickle and sword goons that we've killed.
Damn, that was a
Wow.
big battle too.
That was.
Sentinel,
that's
you were
including
going
all
to
the
say something
skeletons,
as
but-
well, I believe.
I was just saying. So Joel had like a big, like his escape
He has a little monologue.
Yes,
journal thing.
That is an excellent point, considering a lot of some of the exposition for the aftermath was through Joel's writings. He did have kind of a big escape after the battle. He saw Jayla executed. He fled the city, almost drowned. Marili saved him. They kind of had a moment, and they eventually reconnected with Sentinel, Jamie, and Arby, and the survivors. So that is actually a very good point, because that will come into play in the next, both today and probably the next few sessions. So
And
thank you
Arby
for that,
is,
Sentinel.
from my understanding, Arby's gone now, right? He has dissolved.
Yes, that
Yeah, over the 3 years. Yeah.
over the 3 years, Arby will have been dissolved. So that is, if anyone's curious why the party has had no contact with each other, there's been some strange gobbledygookity magic going on that has seemingly severed their connection. Unsure why. And within the last 3 years, due to the spell that Lilith cast, Cyrano, or who is now referred to as Arby by your group, is no
Arby.
longer alive. So Arby, or Darby, excuse me, is back to one singular person.
Yep.
But why don't we go ahead and get to the
Ooh.
session, and we can go ahead and everyone can have their
You
juicy.
have the meat.
We have the
Yes.
meat. We have the meats.
Not anymore.
He had
Not
the
anymore.
meat.
We
Yeah,
had
we
the
now
meat.
he
had
has
the
the
meat.
Arby has
Yeah,
become the meats.
Yeah, he is
Oh.
the meat now.
So I don't have this described, but
man.
in my original intention for Arby is that he just had the most horrifyingly painful demise. Like, he literally basically dissolved into nothing, and it was like just an untreatable just ailment that took
Oh, I
him.
don't feel
Yeah,
very
So
good, Mr.
yeah,
Spice.
you're gonna get some dark themes going on here. The light and fun Elyssia campaign is gonna get a little sad for a little bit.
I very much expected him to basically just, at the end of it, become Thanos snapped. And just
No,
dissolve away into the
he
wind.
deteriorated to skin and bones and then died.
Fun.
Fun.
Yikes.
Like I'm gonna describe it. I don't know if it's exactly like this because haven't looked up all the symptoms, but like a leprosy kind of thing where like you just start like sheathing like mass off, like kind of like that.
Ew.
So you got to treat that, Jamie. So you have that whole experience.
Gross.
Yep. But let us go ahead and start after our big 3-year time skip. Elyssia is shattered. Over the last 3 years, the new beckoning, the first in thousands of years, has already taken its toll heavily upon the populace. Not just on the Vanatirian Peninsula or Olin or the deserts of Dorder, but all over the entire world. The continents of Elos, the Isles of Elos, and even beyond that to places that haven't even been covered yet within this story. Everyone is reeling from the rising of the dead in ways that you could never imagine. And their forces and ferocity seem to be more than any of the stories could ever have predicted or told. The party is fractured. After your missions, though both successful in the end, ultimately ending in a unexpected defeat, you found yourselves in very different places. Broken, beaten down, doing your best to survive with the people that you've managed to align yourselves with in the moment. Each day is a fight of survival, a fight to save those around you, and a fight to keep your sanity. As far as most of you are aware, the others are but distant memories. Perhaps dead, perhaps still alive, but in the world the way that it is, it's difficult to think much of them with the looming threat of the undead. To the north in Olin, the ice cold prevents the undead from making a formidable movement, though they seem to be adapting every day to the cold and harsh climates, causing Morgan and her armies of Oland trouble each and every moment that they fight them. The last major vestige of humanity, or I should say all peoples of Elyssia, or at least on the peninsula here, reside here within the walls of Olin and specifically the city of Morgath. It itself has become a fortress of protection, a holdout over the terrible fate that has befallen the peninsula just to the south of it. And what can we say about the Vanatirian Peninsula? Pragla has been burned and is up in flames. Its castle leveled, its people long fled. Now nothing more than mindless undead wander the streets as the people have fled it. Igarith is now in complete control of Gamar, having finally shed his sword and sickle mask. He now rules the entire city and peninsula as a sort of deranged king, treating it as a game, a puppet, his last little holdout that an Archon could ever want for. Many of the other small pieces of civilization cling for survival, but most at this point have aligned themselves to Gamar and Igarith for their protection, as the undead seemingly ignore those that have sworn loyalty to him. The only city that may have held out and had a fighting chance was Highwater, but due to a long siege of undead and surprisingly an army from the south that seemed to come in at the last moment and break their final lines of defenses, the magic within Highwater broke, plummeting the entire city into the Goddess Lake where it now resides. Thousands died, and those that managed to swim themselves to the shore did not last long against the undead that waited to kill them. It is a dark day for the Vanatirian Peninsula. Of fortresses, Braska, or Peter, occupies his that flies high in the sky, seemingly erected out of nothing, simply coming out of the blue one day, a giant guiding light, as he would call it, flying around the continents of Elyssia, vaporizing undead with powerful waves of magic that seem to decimate hordes of them and save entire groups of people. Whole cities and civilizations protected at a snap of his fingers. Now he is viewed not as a devil, not as the ultimate evil, but as possibly a hero, misunderstood, a protector, and somebody to look up to. Your entire beliefs or reasonings, understandings of what Braska and Peter could be, the things that you all still know to be true due to your meeting him, mean little to the people that have been saved by him, who now are under him and his fortress's protection. It roves the landscape, killing undead here, saving a civilization there, but not every single one. Only the ones that he seemed fit to save. And that finally leaves us with one final bastion of civilization that matters most to this party, where part of our group finds themselves. The Citadel in the deserts of Dorter, the Gorg capital, home city, deep within the sands, constructed of limestone, sandstone, high walls protected from the sun. The Gorgs have opened themselves up to refugees coming from the north, the south, the east, and the west, all over. Those that have managed to brave through the hot, humid climates of the deserts. Heat that has only seemed to increase over the years. They have welcomed them into their walls. And it's there that we'll find 3 of our party members, having managed to wander their way from Pragla and the Vanatirian Peninsula through probably adventures that will never actually be covered in this story, but you may all have to your imaginations. And we'll start with you, Ruma, for you are one of the survivors here within the Citadel. The hot, terrible climate has quite taken a toll on your skin. It's a taxing thing to be under such degrees of heat, the constant 90, 100-degree weather, the beating sun, the just unending sweat that never seems to end. And during the evenings, it's cold, frosty. For you, perhaps not so bad, but for others, the humans and elves and devil folk and whatnot that have made their way into the Citadel for protection, it has been rough for them as the refugees of the city have clung to the streets. You find yourself in an interesting position, Ruma, over the last year, where this whole party, this whole section of the party has found themselves. You've aligned yourself with the architects of the Citadel, the ones who control the city, who build it, who control their armies. You're now a great general amongst them, Ruma. They have given you a small battalion of Gorgs, warriors who've stepped up to go and fend the city walls against undead, to attempt to push them away before they may overtake or overrun the city. But as you return now in the heat, midday, sun high overhead, of your 25 that have returned, that you normally have with you, only 7 have returned with you. An ambush, horrible ambush of undead, seemingly popping right out of the ground and slaying the majority of your men and women, best warriors, people that you called friends, people you drank with. You knew their families, their children, wives, husbands, parents, many different things, all dead and gone. And at one point, you fear, soon to face you with a sword at your throat. And you return with them, weary. How do you feel, Ruma, in this return?
Rumo feels defeated. Won't say a
Ex-
word to anybody. Tries to keep his head up, but his eyes are down.
Right. You truck into the main gate, now constructed of 3 materials, an outer gate, a middle gate, and an inner gate to protect against the hordes of undead. Actual archers positioned between the middle sections with bows ready in case any dared run their way in. Getting in and out of the citadel is as much of a hassle as it is to merely fight the undead. As you arrive at the city streets, the once clean and relatively prosperous realm of the Gorgs has been overtaken by refugees, people clinging on that last set of hope. Many races and groups of people have formed small communities, and as they look to you and see this small group of defeated individuals enter the city, after having seen 25 of you leave, they realize what has happened, and they despair. Amongst them, however, doing his best to liven the crowd, Darby and his majestic little show that he has created with a small fairy dragon, familiar, and a shadow bouncer in the visage of an old friend, attempt to perform tricks of some kind. Darby, why don't you describe this show that a small group of children and their parents have gathered around, probably seeing it for the 10th or even 20th time, but clinging on to it as a small bit of entertainment and hope.
I honestly haven't given much thought to it, but
The show goes off terribly. No,
but
I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
no.
there's definitely a good mix of sleight of hand, illusion magic, kind of your typical Vegas
magic show.
style magic, magician
Do you,
show.
do you have a white tiger?
Well, I don't think it would live in the desert
Very
too
dated
well,
reference, but
so probably not.
all right. Well, Ruma, you see Darby off in the corner. He's made himself a small stage of wood and timber, and he is performing. He's got card tricks. He's got flashy magic with his hands. Spades does some majestic glittering and flashing and flowing, and the children gasp and ooh and ah and clap, despite this, not being the first time they've seen this. Darby, you've had to keep on your trick game to try and keep people entertained. Why don't you give me a performance check to see how well this show ends?
This is going to dictate the mental state of children. You better roll well.
I know it's a good thing I just gained proficiency in it. Wow, great roll to start off the time skip. That's a natural 20 for a 30 on the performance.
Oh, God. I
Nice.
thought you were going to
I
say
thought it was gonna be
Hey.
bad. I thought it was gonna be
Yeah.
bad. Darby,
I
your
did kinda set that
performance
up a
is
little poorly, but yeah. Oh wow.
probably one of the best that you've ever done. I mean, it's even enraptured some of the more cynical adults that are in the area that have watched you
Let's
put this on
go.
for the last few months and just been like, look at this idiot doing his thing. But they've been enraptured by some of your new tricks, and they all applaud at you, and their spirits are lifted, but for a moment. Ruma, you stand by and you watch this small performance, looking upon your friend as he finishes up.
The
You two
performance
are
was so good that Ruma decides that he needs to hide his solemn expression, and he's still really fucking bummed, but he's not showing it as much on his face.
all right. Ruma looks a little more cheerful at your performance, Darby.
Noticing Ruma in the crowd as I'm finishing up, I will tip my hat specifically at Ruma.
I'll give him the head nod upwards because we're buddies, because downwards it means we're strangers, so we gotta. And I imagine I'd have to report to wherever the hell I have to report to.
One sec, I realized I forgot to put music in here.
Alright.
Music.
Probably gotta turn that down a little bit.
Yeah, you might want to turn the bot down. He's been a little on the loud side
That's
recently.
so
Bardius Ordonez the Fourth. I'm glad you kept the name I gave it.
Yes, I did not
Bardius
change the
Ordonez.
bot's name.
Mm.
Darby, you finished your performance. You kind of see Ruma there. You see him, even though he's trying to put on a positive face, you can definitely tell that there's something going on right now. Your performance is done. Do you say anything to him, or do you just go about cleaning up?
I'll command the bouncer to start cleaning stuff up, and I'll quickly head over to Ruma. And I guess just how have things been going on out there? Anything
Quick question for the
interesting?
DM. Is this like early Attack on Titan style where every time they sent a group of people out, like only 5 ever returned?
No, not quite that bad. The Gorgs and the people they've recruited are relatively capable fighters, so these massive ambushes are rare. But this is not the first that has happened, nor will it probably be the last, but it's the first time you've experienced it, Ruma.
Gotcha. Alright, so I'll reply to Darby. Ambush. One I didn't even see coming.
Oh,
They're getting smart.
yeah, can't say I'm too surprised. How well it's been held off for the most part. Something's got to change eventually.
At least you're keeping spirits high, and I'll kind of gesture to like 2 kids that are probably talking about like the effects jumping around.
They're trying to mimic them themselves and like pretend to do the blasts and the glittering and the lights.
Well, Fortunately, a magician never reveals their secrets, so won't be teaching them that anytime soon.
An unspoken hero, Magic Man.
I like your 30 words, Magic Man. Cloak Eye was a thing that existed.
And then, would there be a place I have to report to, Ethan?
Yes, you would report to the kind of the architects themselves, or the one they've put into command of this whole thing, Doomlance.
Oh, hey,
Good old
Doomlands.
Doomlands.
All right, well, I'll tell Darby, sorry, wrong clone.
Yeah, I know. It's easy to confuse us. We look so similar.
I was thinking about curly fries.
That's understandable.
All right. Well, I gotta go see Doomlance. Give him the great news.
Of course, I'm sure I gotta go start taking my reviews from everyone.
Everyone will give him a pat on the shoulder and just kind of stride off.
Your group as well has, in the last year that you've been here in the Citadel, once a week, which today would kind of be that moment, reconnected with each other. Azriel, Darby, and Ruma as kind of a way to just keep the party going despite everything that has happened. Today, you would be at Azriel's place, which is the orphanage that has been erected here within the Citadel.
All right. See you at Azriel's.
Indeed.
Do you have a name for the orphanage?
I
Azriel's
do.
Lost and Found.
Israel's lost.
Azriel's lost and found. One sec, I will get it for you.
Orphan land.
Yeah,
Orphan
unless
land,
it's
the place that the most orphaniest place on earth. It's another theme park.
If there's not a
Roller coaster
specific
in the bed.
reason as to why you named it what you named it, I actually have a name picked out.
If you have a better name, go ahead, because obviously I had to look it up. So go ahead.
I was going to name the orphanage the Alabaster Keep after
The Alabaster
That's
Keep
fair.
my old ship.
Orphanage.
Oh.
I love it.
My old ship.
It's the Alabaster Keep Orphanage. Celebrating its 1 year
You know that ship
anniversary
that
here.
fired on all those orphans earlier? Now it's an orphanage itself.
Yeah, actually, the irony
People
in that.
really do change.
Redemption.
The irony is not lost.
So, Ruma, you wade your way through the city crowds to the central district where kind of the military has set up shop and has, they send out their patrols and their forces to force away the undead. There you see Doomlance kind of standing amongst his different commanders and warriors, instructing them and providing, battle plans for the ongoing thing. He looks over to you. He sees a defeated, solemn look on your face and is quite aware of the situation. He pats one of his commanders on the shoulder and makes his way over to you. Tough day today, then, Ruma.
And we'll give his signature grunt.
Happens
I
to the
can't-
best of us. You wouldn't believe the number that I've sent out there, with only one or two coming back. It seems to be growing more desperate by the hour, by the day. But I don't despair too much. The Citadel is full of hearty Gorg warriors. Many of the refugees that have come are just as strong and fearsome as we are. And you, my friend, are fierce as even myself or Sentinel. And you are a true Gorg warrior. So do not despair too much. For those that have died in battle will dance amongst the halls of victory in the afterlife.
Room will extend his hand for a good old handshake, hearty.
He doesn't
man-on-man
even shake your
talk.
hand. He just hugs you. You two have been
Aww.
you've been paramount to each other. Two commanders fighting an unwinnable battle. In those moments, you need each other.
And we'll give him a big old hug back.
That's what I like to see. I have not had a compatriot like you since me and Sentinel used to go on the hunts in our childhood and hunt mighty sand beasts together. When this beckoning finally ends, Ruma, you and me and Sentinel, wherever he may be, will go out into the sands, and we'll hunt mighty sand beasts together, and we'll bring back the finest catch that the Citadel has ever seen, and we will all feast upon its flesh in a wonderful ceremony. Does that not sound pleasant to you?
I'll dream of the day every evening.
I'll drink to the day every evening.
I can get behind that.
He passes you a flagon of ale, something that seems to be a close comfort to many of the warriors that have seen the the ferociousness of the undead.
Ruma will guzzle it without even flinching.
You guzzle it without issue. It's considering it's your first drink. I'm not going to make you make a con save for drunkenness and your hardy Goliathness, but it's a strong Gorg ale, quite bitter on the back end. Reminds you of an Igorith Pale Ale that you had once in Cut Fun Island, but
Cut Fun Island.
a little more thing. Yes, another thing is
How's
Cut
Cut Fun Island doing?
Yeah, so
Is that operational
you
again?
wouldn't actually know this. You wouldn't actually know this because
Still a
don't have-
lovely resort. People still having a good time.
they're not. But the people, because remember, Cut Fun Island got like savaged by the ghost pirates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've like reformed, and after the beckoning started, just a 1-2 punch to that resort. They've created a firm commune that has like kept the island going, and it's one of the strongest like keeps in all of Elyssia right now. Like these average people on vacation were just like, we ain't gonna die, and we're gonna work together. And they have literally built like a fighting force that are just protecting that island. It's impressive. You
That's
will never
beautiful.
go there. Your characters do not know this has happened, but the Cut Fun Island is like just brought the heat to the undead.
It is now the
That's
Cut
the
Down Island.
That's awesome.
Cut Down Island's their new name for it. I love it.
Because they cut down all the undead.
That's great.
So Ruma, you finish up with Doomlance. He gives you the flagon of ale. You've given your report about the ambush. You've listed the names of those who've died, both first and last for those that have had them. And each time you recite one of the names, you think about the people that they are leaving behind, the families that currently reside in the Citadel that have currently lost a loved one due to this sacrifice. And it weighs on you. But you manage to get through all of the names.
I'd probably have a few more ales.
By all means, the ale flows. Doomlance passes you one.
Hell yeah. Ruma's probably a high-functioning alcoholic at this point.
Well, it's possible. I mean, the things you've seen out there, Ruma, in your battles in this year against the undead, you've watched friends, people that you've sparred with, shared drinks with, met their families, befriended, die, and then the next day you've seen their corpses come at you with the very blades that you sparred them with mere days before, and you've had to crush their heads in to prevent them from getting back up. Because if you didn't, it would mean you would die, or one of your friends would die and meet the exact same fate. This is the beckoning. And there's one thing in my big exposition about the last 3 years I failed to mention, which is very important, especially important when we get to Morgath. There is a new thing that has been going on with this beckoning that is unfamiliar to basically all of you. It is in none of the history textbooks. It's in none of the religious textbooks. There is an illness that seems to spread with this beckoning, a miasma that follows the undead, now known as beckoning sickness. Once infected by it, the people are driven mad. First, they lose all sense of self and realization. They kind of break reality down. And they begin to view everything around them as an enemy, something that has wronged them, something to kill, something to destroy. And then they rip it down and they slaughter and murder whatever they're capable of, almost with the same bloodlust as the undead that you face down every single day. And then finally, once they've taken care of it and there's nothing left, and they are the only ones that remain, they turn upon themselves and join the rank of the undead by their own hands. This is an illness with no known cure, And once someone is infected, the only thing that you can do for them is to make them comfortable and put them out of their misery before it spreads and they possibly threaten to harm those around you. It has been contained outside of the Citadel, with only a few flare-ups here and there, perhaps from a rogue undead that has entered the city. It is not triggered by bite or scratch. It simply seems to hover airborne around the undead, forcing the warriors to wear masks or cloth coverings over their mouth to prevent from being infected.
The Ruma really living up to that Snowhammer nickname then. Although it could be a case we may call him Sandhammer now.
Possibly. Darby and Ruma, as you guys clean up your performance, and Ruma, you finish your report. We'll jump over to the Alabaster Keep Orphanage, currently run by Azriel White, who has taken a softer name again in the meantime, reverting back to Arthur for the children. Arthur, there are about 20 children that you have taken into your orphanage, all fresh orphans, not orphans that have been in the Citadel before. These are people who arrived to the Citadel who've lost parents either due to the undead, illness, hunger, starvation, those sort of things, and have wandered into your care. Only through the Architect's good graces and the charity of those within the Citadel do you manage to obtain the resources and supplies you need to feed these children, as well as yourself, as much as a ghost would need. The years have not been kind to you. The magic that seems to be absorbed by the beckoning is taking its toll upon your body. Now no longer is your hand spectral, but it rides up to your forearm. Your left leg is a bony, spectral version of itself, even spreading as far as to the left side of your face, to the point where people can see the muscle fibers and bone jut out from flaying, fleckled flesh. Considering the state of the world, a undead-looking person would be a scary sight to most, and one to kill to many others. You hide behind a half veil that you keep on the side of your face to try and hide it the best you can. The children don't seem to mind, though, even the ones that have seen you. They have a soft heart, and they realize what you're doing for them. Nazriel, as you stand within the kitchen, using your sword skills to not chop up enemies, but to chop onions, you make a fine onion soup. A meager meal, but one that you and the children will enjoy tonight. And there will be leftovers thanks to a hearty donation of onions. A young
I
girl
also,
run. Oh, go ahead.
Ethan, if you allow it, in our weekly visits or whatever, I did create food and water, if you'll allow it.
Of course.
And Ruma, in his drunken state, will usually save a level 30 spell slot to go someplace and just make it and leave.
All right.
So every time he goes to Azriel's place, he'll cast create food and water in the kitchen.
So once a week, you and the children are able to eat exceptionally well thanks to Ruma's create food and water spell. So
On that
Azriel,
note, too, Darby, assuming he makes any money from his magic shows, will pour at least some of it towards the orphanage as well.
There would be those of probably better wealth that make their way to the Citadel. Gold, the value of which is questionable at the moment in time. Goods and services and survival are a much more important commodity than shiny metal money piece. But there are still those that trade in it, realizing that if this should end, it will probably return to its value, and have a large amount would be a good idea. So what you are able to get, Darby, though meager, if you would like to donate some of it to Azriel, or Arthur, you will be able to use that money as a way to obtain some supplies for your orphanage.
I'll also do occasional, just kind of shorter, more down-to-earth like quick magic shows every now and again as well for the orphans.
Perfect.
Just whenever I'm in the area and have nothing to do, I'll just be like, "Hey kids, time for some magic!" Pew pew. But keeping it mostly just like me and not the bouncer with Paige.
Yeah.
Just me, some card
They
tricks, and
the children appreciate whatever
basic
you are
illusions.
able to give them. Most of them have lost both their parents, lost everything. I mean, there are very few exceptionally young children in this orphanage that wouldn't have some idea of what life was like outside of this beckoning. So many have come from areas where they, they played and had a good time, and they lived on a farm, they lived in a castle, they, their merchant parents traveled around, and now here they are in an orphanage, stuck, both their parents dead. End of the world literally knocking at their door. They'll take what they can get. Mazriel, you cut these onions up. You don't really cry. Onions have never really made you cry. I think you've had enough in your life that tears, it takes quite a bit for Arthur Wake to cry. But a small child comes running into the kitchen, clutching a makeshift stuffed animal that's seemingly been sewn out of discarded random fabrics, stuffed with sand, just literally taken right outside from the Citadel. She tugs on your shirt. Papa Arthur?
Yes, little one.
The children are wondering when the food's going to be ready. We're getting very hungry. Some of the small ones are starting to cry. It's getting very hard to take care of them.
Yes, it'll just be a few moments. Just a little bit more patience. That's all I ask.
Okay, I'll go and let them know. What's this for dinner tonight?
Onion soup. If you want to hold them over and get them to stop asking you, I'm going to grab a piece of raw onion, have them try this.
Perfect. It's one of our favorites, We're very grateful for it. Though, I won't lie, when your large friend comes, the very scary-looking man, he does leave a lot of sweets. Can he come more often?
I will see what I can do.
Thank you, Papa Arthur. I will go and give this to the children. Oh, they're going to have quite the laugh at this. Or some of them might have quite the surprise. And she scampers off with the onion to the courtyard. To kind of give you an idea of your orphanage, Arthur. It's gonna take me a second to get
You're
his
good.
name
Don't
right.
worry about it.
Arthriel.
It's all good.
Arthriel.
Arthriel Wakehite.
You've actually taken like one of these like warehouses that like stored weapons or something like that. It's it's been so cleared out due to resources just being used more than they're brought in. You were able to just assume it. There's kind of a large hall area that the children play in, you can eat in, that you can kind of gather in. There's a few separate rooms, but for the most part, it's relatively barren. You've lived in poverty for the last year in which you've been doing this. Maybe probably the last 9 months, I would say, since you've been here within the Citadel for 1 year. But as you cook your onion soup and it's finishing, and you're pretty satisfied with its taste and its seasonings, you check up and look up at the sun, and you realize that Ruma and Darby should be arriving soon enough. A respite for not only the children, given the shows and the food that they bring, but also for yourself.
I guess I will prepare the meal for the kids, because obviously I let them eat before I do. I'll eat whatever's left over if I even need anything, and kind of get them going on that. Set them aside so that way I can be ready for my friends.
Yeah. So you serve the dinner to the children, and again, it's literal broth and onions. It's like a vegetable stock that you've made off of discarded onions, carrots, anything you can kind of get a hand of. Maybe some bones. Sand beast bones are relatively plentiful here in the deserts of Dorder. They make for a relatively bitter broth, but after you eat it a few times, you grow used to the flavor. Onions, especially a sweet onion that you've been cooking with, kind of help to reduce that bitterness, balance it. Thank you. But it's not the best meal, and you yourself kind of long for the food that Rumor brings with his spell. It's a small treat in an otherwise long week. But as the children are sort of playing and doing their thing and have eaten, and maybe some of the young ones are growing weary and tired from a days of being orphans and doing what orphans do, I guess, there's a knock at your door. And this would be signal that Darby and Ruma, who have met in the travels up here, have arrived. Now, Ruma and Darby, if there's anything specific you would have done before this, feel free to say so. Or if you've just made your way to the Alabaster Keep orphanage, that is fine as well.
Ruma would be passably buzzed.
Ruma is passively buzzed.
Whatever that means.
He stumbles a little bit here and there.
Okay.
Just think of
extra goofy.
Brendan. Just think of every time that I pretty much go over to your house and we hang out with your family.
No, I mean, the bouncer would probably be dismissed by this point, but I'll have just Spades sitting on my shoulder until we actually get inside, and I'll let Spades kind of just hang out with the orphans to play with them.
You knock at the door then.
Oh my god, Ruma still has the cat, right?
Yes, Ruma, you still have your cat. That is a good thing to note. It's not a little cat anymore. It's gotten to be a much bigger cat. It's kind of like Maine Coon size, so it's a very large cat. And it just hangs out, and you have kind of a little house here in the Citadel that the cat lives in, and you feed it and love it, and it's a cat for you. It's kind of like your buddy. It's, since the party's broken up in the last 3 years, he's like one of your main companions. You see him every day.
Does the cat get along with Spades? I like the picture that he doesn't, but I insist on bringing the cat everywhere I go. So Spades and cat have like Tom and Jerry energy going the whole time.
The Spades and the cat have Tom. Who's chasing who?
I feel like
cat's
it's a
chasing
cat
Spades.
thing.
I feel like
to
the
hate
cat would
literally
chase
everything.
Spades.
Yeah, the
Okay.
cat should
Yeah,
chase
because
So, yeah,
Spades
so-
isn't inherently aggressive. It's just a
I
little
can't even remember what the
tiny-
cat's name was. I think oh, it's Skiddly Doos.
Yes,
Skiddly
Skiddly Doos.
It's
So
an orange.
Skiddly Doos chases Spades pretty frequently.
And Spades is a tiny creature, so he's definitely smaller than.
Yeah, Skiddly Doos just follows Ruma around when he's out and about, even to the tavern.
All right. So Skiddly Doos, Ruma, Spades, and Darby have arrived
Such
at
a
the
great
Alabaster
name.
Keep orphanage.
Lilith named him, I think.
She might have. I don't remember.
Did I?
I think you did, yeah.
Skiddly
Ruma
Doos.
Ruma and
remember.
Darby probably used our pre-designated knock, but Arthur, being paranoid in this kind of 3-year time, will still kind of usher the makeshift drapes, which are essentially just ripped burlap sacks, over one of the windows, kind of move it out of the way, peer out, see it's them, and then unlatch
Ruma's
the
gonna be
door.
staring in the window where he knows that Arthur's gonna be looking, just like.
And Arthur will glance out the window, like around, as if he does not see Ruma at all, like look around, and then shut the drapes, and then unlatch the door, and it'll take several minutes for the door to be fully unlatched.
Damn it.
Just hear like
Arthur
15
has,
different unlocking noises.
Yeah, very, very secure orphanage here to protect the children. But eventually he gets them all unlatched, and you may enter, Darby and Ruma and your horde of pets.
And the Arthur you see is he's not got his pirate garb on. He's not got his big coat. He's not got his pirate hat. It's just like a heavier bandana with the sheath over the half the face. Longer garments to cover his ghostly visage on his arm and his leg, but more homely, less ostentatious.
Great. Ruma will barge in. Arthur, good to see ya. I'll give you like a sloppy little handshake. Like, are the kids hungry?
Always.
Ruma's gonna let out like a soft little burp and head to the kitchen where he goes, cast, create food and water.
What do you create?
Well,
Kale.
it's gonna
Just
be up
barrels
to
of
your.
kale.
It is up to your discretion, Ethan, because I was reading the spell and it says that it's kind of bland but nourishing food. But if we want to flavor it,
No,
I'm all
yeah,
for that.
I'm all for flavoring the food. So
I
let's
mean,
flavor
there
it
we
a
go.
little bit.
To be fair,
So-
prestidigitation can flavor things,
Yeah.
so I could flavor the food after you made
There
it.
you
Oh, you
go.
know what? I like this. And be like, come on, Darby, we gotta take care of this.
Yeah, it's time to make food. I know.
So I'm thinking we do a couple big roasts because it makes 45 pounds of food
Oh
and
my
30 gallons of
Yeah,
water.
great food is a lot.
It is a third level spell,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
But it makes
costs
a
quite a bit.
stupid amount of food.
One thing with the children of the orphanage as well, all 20 of them, is they are exceptionally aware of what today is, and very aware of the special knock that Ruma and Darby used to
Yeah,
enter. So
Santa Claus is here.
Yeah, so Arthur,
the
as you
weekly
look,
Santa's here.
you kind of glance back after unlocking the doors, and you just see about 6 little heads peeking their way out from like a door frame, and they see you and you see them, and they immediately retreat. You hear snickerings and whispers from the other room of, "Oh, they're here! It's we're gonna eat good today. Everyone, come on, be on your best behavior. We might get a show." The older kids are trying to wrangle up the younger ones that are just being complete, just young children, and get them ready for what may come today.
Hell yeah. We're gonna do 3 big roasts, a whole bunch of like steamed veggies and stuff, some healthy things. But that's only gonna be half of it. The rest of it is gonna be like every form of dessert known to man, with like all the sweet breads and syrups and candies and stuff. And Ruma would, if he was more sober, would have made it more nutritionally valuable for the kids. But because he's not, it isn't.
All right, you have created within what's the time frame to create the food on the spell?
It's an action.
Oh, wow, so you just
Yeah, it
snap
just
your fingers
appears.
and boom, food on this table,
Yeah.
and you and Darby and Arthur can begin taking the food to the children, who immediately just begin just cheering. There's just like excitement and awe. This has happened for weeks that you've been doing this, but there's just such joy at such a small thing being done. And as you set it down, they reach in and they're grabbing pastries and cakes. They're grabbing
And it makes
hu-
30 gallons of water. Wow.
hunks of meat and vegetables, and just devouring them, because as good as your onion soup is, Arthur, it doesn't quite compete with this sort of spread.
And I like to think the reason Ruma doesn't do it daily is due to his duties to the architects. So he's gonna make a comment and say, "I wish I could do this more often."
There are many times where you might leave the Citadel and not return for a few days, so.
The fact that you do it at all, Ruma.
Unfortunately, I kind of got to be all over the place for what I'm doing. So can't hang out here all the time. Need to be on every possible district.
If only
They
I
have
could
something
create
to look forward
alcohol.
to once.
If only I created anything but water.
And I wish I could help you there, but I've been out of rum for 2.5 years now, so.
I don't
There's
know how
all
you're
the
still
rum
standing.
gone.
Where's the
No,
rum?
There's the rum gone.
I've been dry for 2.5 years, so.
I'll drink to that.
Don't know if that's how that works, Rupa.
Ruma is upset all the time. He drinks a lot.
Fair. That's fair.
Mm.
You deserve to be.
You guys are reunited after an entire week, so it's probably you don't know much about each other's lives. I mean, these are the moments that you have to rekindle months, a couple years of you traveling together as a party and having friendship. This is that last string.
Well, while the kids eat, how about a game of cards? And I'll kind of section over to like a room that's got a few empty seats at it.
Sure, let me just get this face paint off. It's very obnoxious to wear.
Keep it on. You'll need a performance after dinner.
Yeah.
Plus,
Oh,
you look better with it on.
You're harder to read.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult.
This time, though, Arthur and I talked about it last week. You're not allowed to look at your cards this week.
How do you think I got my deal with Gamar, Ruma?
Goddamn. All right, let's go.
That's not a joke, actually. That's literally true. He just didn't look at his cards and bluffed it the whole way through.
That's very ballsy.
Yeah.
All right. You guys head back to this room, and Darby, you pull out an old stack of cards that, have seen quite the hands over the years, but not sure how much you gamble anymore. Sounds like not a whole lot.
Well, not really any time, and not like money has much value, so people aren't really gambling for anything anyways.
It's all right. There's not much to
Still-
gamble, but a good
Still
Good
uses
card game amongst
the
friends.
card tricks as a way to keep up with his sleight of hand in case he ever needs to get back in the gambling ring.
You begin playing An Elysian card game. Yeah, something similar to not blackjack. Blackjack would be stupid. That'd be like a one versus all of you.
Poker.
Uh,
so?
Be like
Probably like a
or
poker
Texas
style
Hold'em.
game, Texas Hold'em sort of
52
style game.
pickup.
52 pick. You guys are playing 52 pickup. No.
Fantastic.
So it just
But
flings all the cards onto the floor.
you know,
That's fun.
the children are eating. They're having a good time. They're anticipating the show, and you know, you guys have a moment to each other. If you'd like to do anything with it.
While the cards are going around, it'll get to Ruma's turn, and he'll just not be paying attention, old 1,000-yard stare style. Just make a comment that morale has gotten worse.
I don't know how you keep doing what you're doing, Ruma.
Yeah, I could not imagine actually being out there every day.
But you see it in here too.
It's not as much. Plus, I kind of see more of the better side of everyone, given
Yeah.
the joy.
I get to hang out with kids.
I would consider that a burden. So props to you, Arthur.
Oh well. It's the least I can do.
Yeah, I'm an old man now. Goliaths don't live that long. And I'm pushing 60. I don't know if I can fight anymore.
I don't care if you're pushing 80, Ruma. There's so much fight left in you.
Then why does my wrist make this noise? He's gonna try to make light of the situation, go like this, and it just keeps clicking.
He goes, oh, funny, your wrist makes a noise. I'm gonna take the glove off and I'm gonna show this entirely spectral hand.
I'll get a hearty chuckle out of Ruma.
I'm sure if we had Dr. Watts around still, he'd be able to fix that right up for you, Aruma.
You'll just hear, unless Ruma says anything, you'll just hear a dead silence fall over the room at the mention of our other party members.
We haven't seen in the entirety of
3
like
years.
3-year
Yeah.
Kai
And just
pickup.
randomly one day the
split up.
randomly one day the magic on all your stuff just stopped that he was providing.
And then after a little bit of a long pause,
Great.
I'll
I
mention
want
that-
to. Great question here, and I'm gonna ask
Because
this of
that's
Jamie.
how Artificer works. Once he changes the infusion,
It's
that's just
gone.
no longer infused. It loses
Jamie,
its properties.
When in this 3-year time period would you have pulled that magic off?
Oof, that's a good
Yeah, 'cause
question.
that actually is important.
That's such a
Oh, that would
Yeah,
make
that's
me
a
think that
loaded
he's
question.
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
what I'm
at
saying.
some
He would
point-
think that he's dead.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
No, I would think. Well, first of all, Jamie doesn't use magic. He uses
Yeah,
advanced
He uses
Science.
science.
so we're-
Excuse me.
Yeah,
It's
so the
science.
science has
We're all
malfunctioned.
saying the right
Science.
word.
It's my bad. Sorry, the science will have malfunctioned, and he's not there to repair
Thank you,
it.
thank you. I think probably like a year. Like I'd probably say like a year in.
Okay.
Eesh.
So,
Like
About 2
yeah,
years about it.
365 days. Yeah.
and I'm curious, real quick too, Jamie. Now that you say this, do you pull it off for necessity, or do you pull it off because you believe they may be dead?
Ooh.
I think for something like this, it'd be more along the lines of like, without any communication.
There's no way to know if it's even.
You know what I mean?
dangerous.
Like after a year of not heard from this person in any way, shape, or form, it'd probably just be like, I kind of need this to survive.
I need other
So,
stuff
like-
to work.
Yeah.
I need other stuff. I need the components. Or
Yeah.
I was gonna flavor it more on the lines of like the coding that I would like just normally hand Ruma every couple days to like keep his stuff all
Thanks.
up. It just he doesn't because I'm not around anymore. He
Right.
just
You
doesn't
just
have
can't
it.
anymore.
You can't maintain it anymore, basically, to keep it
Yeah,
doing
it
its
goes
thing.
back to normal because it is just
Yeah.
like a
An augment.
yeah. So it wouldn't be so much of like me doing it. It'd be
Sure.
more of on the lines of like well, it's been a year. That's as long as I had it for, and it's
That
all
makes-
gone now.
that makes
stuff
sense.
That Jamie did.
But to the
Mm.
rest of you guys, it's kind of a tough thing since I don't 100% think the rest of the party is aware of how Dr. Watts' equipment works. So one
Not
day,
really.
you all just woke up and all the magical, or scientifical incantations
Yeah.
that
All the
Dr.
things he's
Watts
scienced for us.
he scienced into your life, he blinded you with science with, has now faded.
Yes.
But Yes, it's a good thing you brought up your missing party members.
Yeah.
Not just
Yep.
party members too, though, but friends from High
Yeah.
Water, people
Family,
that you-
really.
yeah.
Business partners.
Co-workers,
It's,
business partners.
That's why I said, like, as soon as Darby mentions Jamie, like, just Arthur's just gonna go dead silent. Like, it's very clear
Yeah.
Arthur's not willing to talk, regardless of how grim it looks. Just not gonna talk about it. Like, it's just not.
And after a moment of silence, Ruma will just kind of be like reflecting, not talking to anybody in particular, and just say, Doomlands promised me a hunting trip with Sentinel. After I gave him the news of the ambush.
I mean, I'm trying, but after Arby deteriorated, I got no connection. I'm having a hard time finding ways to get communication established if they're even around. I'm still within all of the spare time I have that's not spent here or doing my shows. I'm trying.
I think it's your turn, Ruma.
But I still have no idea
Oh.
what these are, just so we're all aware. I have not looked yet.
Right. I legit forgot we were playing cards.
I
out of
will. Like
turn.
I said, Arthur's not straight up not gonna talk about it. Like, just he's not accepting.
Alright.
This is not having this conversation. This is not a
Ruma
conversation.
will just place like a call or a small bet, if anything, depending on how the hand was shaken out.
No, see, Ruma, what you actually want to do there is that's not a good hand to call with.
I love it.
Shut.
Trying to coach him.
Sorry, it's just old habits die hard.
When did you see my cards?
When they were dealt.
Did Darby deal?
Yes.
Ruma's gonna throw his cards.
You can take away the ability for me to look at the cards. That doesn't change that I know what card is where in the deck.
As you have this kind of fun moment of laughter and respite, playing this game of cards, on the door to the Alabaster Keep, there is a loud rump, rump, rump.
Is that a familiar knock?
Not at all. Very forceful knock.
Arthur's gonna immediately stand. His chair will slide back. Kind of look towards the back room where he stays. Then back to the group. And then he's going to quickly leave the room and try and make his way over to the window to see if he can see who's knocking at the door discreetly.
Before you, give discreetly, standing at the door as you kind of pull back the burlap curtain slightly, you see a dark robed hooded figure standing in the entranceway. No one you recognize, though you can't see his face or her face.
I'm going to begin ushering very quietly, ushering the children to a far back room and kind of motion to Ruma and Darby if they followed me to get towards the door.
The eldest orphan, a 12-year-old girl named Poppy, you can kind of give her some instructions, and she's sort of like the mom of the group when you're not able to kind of be there, so she can get the little ones ushered away. Given the protective nature that you've expressed to me here, Arthur, I would believe that you have erected some form of safe room or safe holding area that the children may put themselves in, which they quickly usher themselves to.
I'll send Spades with them.
Okay.
So they-
Little bit of the
Something
children
to clean
obviously
themselves
know that something's going on. Over the few months, Arthur, you've instructed them that these holes exist for two reasons. Reason number one is if you tell them to go there because someone has arrived at the orphanage that they may not wish to meet. Reason number two is that there are undead within the city, and that the only way they might survive is if they hide within those holes.
I will then kind of motion Darby and Ruma to stand. If I'm facing the door here, kind of like next to where the door is, like if I opened the door, the person coming in couldn't see them, but they'd be
Yep.
right there and ready.
Okay.
If need be. And then I will proceed to open the door.
You open the door, and the hooded figure kind of looks over. It's a long hood, so it kind of covers his face quite a bit. You kind of see ornate golden inlay along the collar of it, up the hood. Sleeves are long and actually mask his hands. May I inquire? This is the Alabaster Keep Orphanage, isn't it?
It is.
Most excellent. Do you mind if I enter?
Who, may I ask, are you?
An old friend, you could say. Though I will say, Azrael White, he grabs your chin and lifts your head slightly to get a small look underneath the veil that masks your face. I figured you undead from the moment that we met, but it seems that this magical shortage due to the beckoning has quite damaged your appearance.
I appreciate the compliment and the inspection, but you still haven't answered my question.
Ah, I can understand. It has been some time. He pulls his head down, or hood down, and standing before you is a man that you have not seen in a very, very long time. The necromancer, Xanthro.
Arthur will kind of stand there stunned. Really won't know how to respond at this moment. But isn't also giving any like way into the room without like this man running him over.
But you're holding your own.
I'm not like aggressive about it, but I'm not moving out of the
Yeah,
way.
you're in the doorway. You're not breaking through here.
Yeah.
Well, now that we've been reacquainted, may I?
No. What is your business here?
My business
What?
here
No.
is to speak with yourself, with your party, you could call them, on urgent matters related to certain events within the world right now. And perhaps bring a gift to the children. And from his
Well-
cloak, he pulls out a small, almost looks like a wind-up toy. And as he kind of winds it up and he sets it down, the small, almost humanoid-look figure kind of stands up and he begins to walk in kind of in a robotic fashion before its final wind-up ends and it just collapses to the ground. It's fun, isn't it?
As fun of a gesture as that is, last time we were acquainted, both of us were trying to kill one another. Why on
Last
earth would I
time
allow-
we were acquainted, both of us were after a very rare map piece that led to this end of the world scenario. We're long past that now, wouldn't you agree?
Guess we can see eye to eye on that one.
I come here not as an enemy, but as a, if you could call me it, ally. Or perhaps informant, if you prefer to drop the A word. It's your choice, really.
Can I like kind of check his person to see if he's armed?
He does have a staff. I mean, like a
Okay.
walking stick. So,
Okay.
for a necromancer, he doesn't really need anything to cast spells slash
Fair enough,
summon
fair
undead.
enough.
So,
Yeah, other than his mouth, right?
Yeah.
I
which
guess
clearly isn't covered.
right.
Verbal
I guess
semantics.
also this would be a good time to note, like when I gave my description of Arthur, Arthur is completely unarmed. He has
Yep.
no swords or guns or
I
anything
figured.
on him. Arthur will, against his better judgment, Arthur will step aside. He will say, just because I'm letting you inside does not mean you will be allowed out. So be warned.
It's okay. I can understand your trepidation with my arrival. It has been 3 years since the start of this hellhole began, and I believe another year prior. You have to excuse me, my hunt for a superior way to end these beckonings after I lost my precious map piece caused me to lose a bit of an idea of time, but that's neither here nor there, for I am here now, and you are here now, and we are currently dealing with the end of the universe, it would appear.
As I kind of allow him to enter, I will say, Ruma, Darby, Xanthro.
Ah, yes, the one with the funny hat, and the big fellow I do not quite recognize. Greetings, my
Okay.
name is Xanthro. I am a necromancer. The best.
Yeah, Ruma,
Does
you haven't
he
met this
does
guy
he
yet.
reach out for a handshake?
He doesn't. He's not that stupid.
I was about to do it, squeeze, and then see if I could smite on the crush damage.
Yeah, he's not that dumb.
Smite the handshake.
He
That's
can kind of
awesome.
realize, obviously, you guys have been watching and listening to this interaction. Ruma, despite you've never meeting Xanthro, you realize that something's not right here. You look at Darby, you can see he's Darby, I'm assuming you're pretty shocked.
Very.
So you get the idea this guy is bad news, and seeing you, he realizes that this isn't necessarily someone he's going to want to rough and tumble with.
Yeah, Ruma's still armed to the teeth, so.
Figured.
Darby doesn't need to be armed, he's got magic. No, I
That's
still have
true.
the Sap of Striking.
Yep.
To fill you in, Ruma, since you've never met this man, he tried to kill us, is the reason why Marilli is not in her original body, and feeble-minded me at one point.
He also is responsible for blowing up the Safar Inn.
Yes, he also blew up our inn, which I'm
Eh,
still very angry about, pointing to the scorch marks on my head.
You give me a lot of credit for many things that were unfortunate situations. Now, I will give you, I did kill the goddess, which I feel horrible about, but I didn't realize it at the time. If I had, I would have killed the other one instead. He seemed much more expendable.
Saying that you'd kill one of our other friends
Yeah, it's
isn't
not
really
exactly
doing
a
yourself
good
any
look.
favors. And I'll be honest with you, you've caught my friend here, Ruma, on a particularly bad day. So you may want to speed up or expedite your offering here. Otherwise, he may send you through that. Well, regardless, he may send you through that wall. And I'd really like not
Particularly
to have to
bad day, my
So,
large friend. I'm sorry to hear that. What, may I ask, happened?
I don't believe that is any of your business.
It's
That is
not,
the
but I'm
correct
asking
answer.
out of the sympathy of my person, as people do when bad things happen to others. I can be a reasonable, acceptable man. It's what I'm trying to be right now to all of you. So I ask again, what troubles you, my friend?
People like you did the things that you did and killed my family. And I lost them today, is what happened. And you'll
People
see
like-
Ruma's knuckles turning white around his hammer.
People like me have been studying the undead for many, many years, trying to uncover exactly what makes these beckonings happen. I did not kill your people, nor any of the undead that I may summon kill your people. This is the result of powers beyond our understanding, a system of sorts, you could say.
so
By
you
your
could be a-
hand, you've raised the dead. By your hand, you have killed people. You get
I
no
have.
sympathy from me.
Yeah, that's just fine. We don't need sympathy. We can hate each other for all I care. But we have to work
Not even.
together in these moments, or we will all die. So if you prefer to all die and join the mindless roving undead, you're more than welcome to. The door's right over there. But I will talk to anyone here willing to listen to me.
Well,
You were let in.
yes, I don't know if you
Luckier
could
than
tell
cycle
us the
would have
door
been,
is over
so-
there when you're entering our place, but
Well,
semantics aside, what exactly do you want?
my journey over the last 4 years has been exceptional. After I lost the map piece to you lot, I sought another. I wanted to find the one out along the ocean. Buried deep within that strange underwater realm with the weird game show, reality TV sort of vibe. But I very quickly realized upon further research and looking into the lore and legends that the map pieces weren't necessarily all they were cracked up to be, though I seldom thought they would bring back our very destruction. I apologize that you happen to be the ones that unlocked that fate for this place, though I do not blame you. Decided to seek out another way to end these beckonings. You see, we were enemies at once, but I think our goals ultimately align. We don't wish to see Elyssia fall and degrade into madness, into this undead wasteland or nightmare. We want to see the people saved, helped. Perhaps we went about it different ways, but in the end, the goals are the same. We may remain enemies by the end of this, but I come with an option. A lot of travel and a lot of research and a lot of exploring have led me to uncover things about this world that no one would believe. Except for a lone party that seemingly has uncovered a strange, mystical shell over Elyssia. Archons, a system, a goddess and her brother not necessarily being everything they're all cracked up to be. Is any of this ringing the bell, or have I found the wrong people?
No, you seem to have greater knowledge than I would have ever pegged you for.
A lot of it came from venturing into realms unknown, to a strange land of hither, thither, and yon, and a roving inn, and a woman with inside who calls herself Sue, an archon of sorts, that decided to divulge much of this information to me after some polite prodding. I was quite shocked to find most of it out, and even more shocked that when I returned to Elyssia and began to explore such things, that it turned out all to be true and not just simply the ravings of a mad woman. Who would have known that our very deities themselves were underlings to a whole host of 7 other deities, if you could call them that? The point of the matter remains is that those are mostly dead. The only that remains that I'm aware of is the Gamar that runs Igarith. Has essentially run out most of the good-natured folk from the Vanatirian Peninsula north into your citadel. Now the undead make their way here and to Morgath. And Nebraska flies overhead and treats himself like a fucking king. So what do we do to end all of this? What do you think that we do to end all of this? I'll let you guess. You're intelligent lot. Nothing?
I'll be
What do
honest.
we
Nothing
got?
from the peanut gallery.
My plan was to survive. We lost.
You did lose. We all lost, surprisingly. Well, maybe not surprisingly. What is man, mortal, supposed to do against hordes of undead with their swords and ability to just get back up after you smite them? It would take 100 of your big fellow there with his holy magic to even decimate a small group of them, keep them at bay. But survival is only gets you so far, Arthur. Survival will eventually lead to death. For even you can't survive. And all of your children here will eventually become fodder for the undead that will eventually raid the city and murder everyone inside of it. That's why I'm here. And that's why I need your help. All 3 of you.
Help with what?
Simply put, if Braska wishes to access this system and has failed to do so in the last 3 years, despite the horrid carnage she's brought upon this world, we're going to do it instead. We're going to access the system, and we're going to get it to do what we want it to do. If he can fucking become part of it and tell it, make beckonings, make this, give magic to people, then we can do just the same and end these beckonings and end him. The simple flick of our wrists and snap of our thumb. Doesn't that sound pleasant?
It
Well,
does.
You
I
sound like
trust
another
you.
person we
Well,
we worked with before.
And who would that be?
the very
You
man
wouldn't
you're trying to
believe me
stop.
if I told you.
Oh, I have seen much in the last 3 years. Try me.
Peter.
Oh, well, you've talked to him, it would seem. If you're thinking I'm some power-mad fool that's going to take the system for myself, far from it. I just simply wish to end the hordes of undead so I can go back to researching them, so I don't have to worry about them cutting my throat out. Not all of us are power-hungry madmen.
Remains to be seen.
Oh, yeah.
Opinions. We didn't
How
get
do-
off on the best foot.
How do you reckon we access the system?
Well, I have means to believe that the system resides somewhere within Olin, which is why I've come and tracked your lot down. First, since you were closer. I would have gone to Molgath and talked to the other two, but that's a bit of a hike, and I don't like the fucking cold.
What other two? What are you talking about?
The big chicken, and the one they're calling Pontiff now. Those two.
Give the
Pontiff?
Pontiff. I thought
Destiny?
No, the other one. The far more better looking of the two.
I didn't realize we still had a Pontiff. I kind of figured that role was removed.
How do I know you're not just preying on our desire to see our friends?
I'll put it to you this way, Arthur. 3-4 years ago, I considered myself a man of immense power. I could command the undead. I could resurrect them from the very ground. I could research the parts of them that make them tick. I could figure out why these beckonings happened. And then it happened again, and I was powerless to do anything about it. That's the thing that people don't understand about necromancers like me. You all think my goal was to make a beckoning, to build one from scratch. My goal was to end it by figuring out exactly why it started. Because if you could kill it from the source, you could kill it permanently, not just survive it. So I'm done surviving the beckoning. And I don't believe myself capable enough, or anyone else capable enough here in Elyssia, except for the 5 people that came upon all of this to begin with. Perhaps with a few friends along your way, and a goddess, we might be able to set what's wrong right. And if it helps sweeten the deal a little bit more for the 3 of you, if I were to say, fuck with you, and lead you into some abyssal trap that causes the 3 of you to die, great! My enemies from before are dead! I did it! Huzzah! And then I get fucking massacred by undead. So, what do you think is the better option for me? We can go back to killing each other when this is all done. But for right now, I would much rather keep my enemies close. But I don't really consider us enemies. More of 2 people with opposing goals.
Enemy.
Enemy. I kind of hate to say it and to be the one to say it, but he's not entirely wrong.
You are making sense, but we need proof. How in the world do you know Jamie and Sentinel are alive, or even in Olin?
You'll just have to have faith. Do you have faith that the goddess is still alive? That she's protecting people?
I'd like to.
Then consider me her bonny fucking angel come to get you. And have faith in me.
Arthur's just gonna laugh at him, and he's gonna begin walking to his room in the back. He's not gonna say anything. He's just gonna walk to his room in the back of the orphan.
What say you two? How about you, big lad? You're a holy man. I've done a little bit of digging to your existence, your order of Kalis. Nasty little thing to be part of. I'm sorry. Makes us necromancers almost look civil. In comparison, how would you like to really serve the goddess and not some thing that says they serve the goddess?
I'll serve my friends, and don't ever make a point of telling me how much we are alike, because we are not.
Oh, I don't believe us to be alike at all. Number one, I'm much better looking.
Ruben's just gonna shake his head, walk out, join Arthur.
And you,
Ar-
Doc.
I say Arthur will have made his way back into the main room now, carrying a shovel.
That's an interesting thing to have.
He will then
He's
walk.
John Wick in it.
He's gonna walk. He's gonna walk past the front door and begin making his way to the back of the orphanage.
Right, the children have kind of all gathered around to watch you kind of see what you're doing. Like they are aware of what's happening right now. Because unbeknownst to you, Arthur, or maybe a little beknownst to you, you know, you have a keen ear, there's been tales of you about your exploits as a pirate, who you really are. It's good bedtime stories for the children. Now they're going to see it in action.
You're digging up your gear, aren't you?
Oh, 100%.
In the back of
He's
the
John
orphanage,
Wick.
there is a grave, like a mound for like a grave, but instead of
Yeah.
having like a cross or anything, there's just like an X, like a pirate's X
Yeah.
on the ground on top of the grave. And I'm going to begin digging in that spot.
All right, you dig for 20 minutes and you find what's there. What do you find? Arthur?
It is a coffin made, just a simple wooden coffin.
Mhm.
And on the inside will be my both of my scimitars, one with a ghostly visage, the white devil, my pistol, my coat, and my hat. And I will begin donning my equipment.
Would you prefer to continue along your name of Arthur, or have you resumed the title of Azrael?
I will have resumed the title of Azrael.
Azrael, equipped in his gear, enters the orphanage. It seems I have one who's interested in joining me. What say you, other hat lad?
Do I at least have time to get this face paint off? Because it is kind of gaudy for adventuring.
We'll leave in the morning. A teleport spell should have us there in minutes.
Oh, wonderful.
I will let you know, though.
I have to go cancel all my shows.
Viciously despise the cold. So while we're there, don't tell me it's cold, because I would be very upset.
Oh
just-
man,
I'll just
Gonna
whisper
be
to
chilly.
Room. I think that means you should tell him that it's cold every time you have the opportunity.
Every waking moment.
Because you won't be, and it's funnier if you say it.
Xanthro looks over to you, Ruma, the one person that really doesn't have much of a history with him, but can definitely tell the strange tension here. And you, friend?
I don't have gear to dig up in a backyard, but I
Excellent. Beautiful. Get a good night's rest. Finish your business tonight. We leave first thing in the morning for Orlin. Morgath, specifically. Come find me. The third house in the market square. The one with the 3 roofs. There'll be a magic circle there that will take us within minutes. If you've never traveled by magic circle before, you might throw up. Just brace yourself for it. And Xanthro departs from the orphanage.
I don't remember if we've
Seems
ever
that
done a teleportation circle in this campaign.
I
yet.
don't believe you have, though. If someone in the watching remembers elsewise, by all means, please correct me.
know-
if I'm
I
I
know
wrong.
thought that's how we
did.
got out of
In
dinner.
the previous
You gotta-
campaign that we didn't stream, you did.
Oh,
One.
that's
I don't
true.
think in this one.
When we left Hither,
We got out of there by hither and yon. That's how we got out. We teleported out.
It was a teleportation circle to get out.
I guess that is true. That is a teleportation, so you would
Yeah, it's
have
just,
some experience with
A
teleportation.
realm shift or a dimension shift, but yeah. Then
Yeah.
like I say, and also when I had what I thought was Gamor in my head.
Oh, that's
I
true.
created a
Yeah, you
portal.
created a portal for us.
Oh, true. Gamar, yeah. Or not Gamar,
Galore.
Galore.
Gamor.
Yeah, the fake
We-
galore.
We ziplined so fast by all intents and purposes.
It
we
might
are
as well be a
teleported
teleport.
via my
Yeah.
science law.
I mean, I've Misty stepped many times, so
Fine.
but not quite the same as a teleportation circle.
Well, the 3 of you now have a new option, a new way to go. And you will meet Xanthro at the house indicated in the morning to hopefully reconnect with your friends in Olin. Perhaps there's hope there. Perhaps there's a bit of uncertainty, considering he is your enemy. But these last 3 years of floundering and wavering against the sea of undead, someone's thrown you a life preserver. The only question is, how good of one is it? We'll transition over to Olin shortly before the events here at the Citadel. For as hot as the deserts of Dordor are, the cold of Olin is all the more vicious. Though in the last 2 years, it's only seemed to have gotten worse as well as
You
winter
saying it's
ice.
cold in Olin?
It's very
No
cold.
way.
The winter winds have rippled through the forests and the mountains. The lake that was frozen is now even more frozen, with even the areas that people used to fish and sail boats on being covered in ice, effectively shutting down all form of boat travel or fishing. The cities within Olin have done their best to defend against the undead, but Morgath seems to be holding out the best. The fort closest to the Vanatirian Peninsula's border, Fort Dinval, currently houses around 100 hardy soldiers who fight back the undead on a daily basis. Many that wander in from the more lukewarm and temperate climates into the harsh cold. They are fortunate that they freeze and struggle quickly. However, the undead that seem to remain in Olin and adapt to it have become more and more able-bodied, and it becomes more difficult to fight them. Pontiff Jamie Watts, almost had a frickin' brain moment there from previous things. Pontiff Jamie Watts, title that is probably surprising to most here.
Pontiff Dr. Jamie Watts. He didn't stop being a
Pontiff,
doctor.
You probably, I don't know if you would have dropped your doctor title as well, but I will be going
Yeah.
as Pontiff Watts going forward until
Dr. Professor?
you tell me
Yeah,
otherwise.
Dr. Professor, Dr. Professor.
The
Dr.
Reverend
He would have
Doctor.
never have dropped his doctor. He would have never
Reverend
have dropped his
Doctor.
doctor title ever in a million years.
All right.
There's always
Yeah,
Dr. Watts in every
There's
turn.
no pontiff anymore. It's just doctive.
Doctive.
He's the doctor.
Reverend Doctor.
Reverend Dr. Jamie Watts.
There we go.
I love it. But anyways, Pontiff Watts,
Pots.
you've had an interesting last year and a half, 2 years, establishing a clinic within Morgath, treating the sick, the infirm, the injured, doing your best to uncover the cure and secrets of the beckoning sickness, and finally having your own brother Destiny, who eventually did come out of his energy-infused coma, grant you the title of Pontiff. Now, many may ask why. What would Destiny, the egotistical man, believe to do with this? Why would he give his brother this title? Due to Dr. Jamie Watts' clinic, his ability to run out into the wild to gather survivors and people. It was a mutual conversation between the two of them of what they could do to better entice people to come to Morgath. And ultimately, Destiny said, hey, you know what? This Pontiff title ain't doing me anything anymore. But people are always going to cling to that religion. And right now, more than ever, they need someone that can help them. So he granted it to you, Jamie, in this moment of need. And now you go by to those out in the wildernesses of Olin, the northern parts of the Vanatirian Peninsula, the Flaming Pontiff, someone who strides amongst the landscape in kind of a fit of just ferocious fire, taking down undead in your path, clearing a way to their safety. Do you recover them? Do you convince them that there's a home back for them in Olin, a safe space away from the suffering, the starvation, the horribleness of it all? And even in all of that, you still run your clinic. You still research the beckoning sickness. You still keep the small, fragmented members of the cure in operation to mark and track not only Braska's fortress, not only the movements of the undead, but even the movements of Gamar's forces itself. They report to you weekly, and you send those reports back to Morgan in her castle so that she and her armies can better position themselves to be ready. All of that, it has exhausted you, Pontiff. Every day is a struggle. every day you wake up, and in the mornings you set out at the crack of dawn to a new area in hopes of finding someone that you can bring back, even if it's one person that you can bring back. Some days it's 2, some days it's 10. And then you get back and you treat those people, and you treat those that were injured in battle or who are suffering from beckoning sickness with the only known thing that you've come up with that can help stave off it is a blue root that can only be grown here in Olin. You help them. And then in the evenings, you head to the castle of Morgath, where you convene with Morgan and Dale and Tetra and Sentinel about how they are going to better position their soldiers based on the information given to you. And then you head back to your clinic and you help Destiny and Faith and even young Kumi, who has also come out of her coma, to better cultivate this blue root, only to go to bed and wake up and do it all the next morning. And this is the morning like any other for you, Jamie. You wake up tired, sore. I don't know, do you wake up wishing that you didn't have to do all of this? Or are you ready to do all of this?
Dr. Jamie Lee Watts, now Pontiff,
Pontiff
Jamie Lee
Doctor.
Watts.
Pontiff
Pontiff Doctor.
Pontiff Doctor?
Dr.
He-
Dr. Pontus Doctor.
Dr. Pontiff Doctor.
Yes. I think it's more along the lines of like, it's not whether or not he wants to, because he's going to do it either way. He's a doctor. That's what he does. But the pontiff stuff is the stuff that he wishes he didn't have to do. Like that's the stuff that is more draining than everything else. It's just that one extra thing to do.
Being Pontiff does have its new responsibilities. It's not every day, fortunately, but you do have to make regular religious appearances. You have to preach. You have to essentially put your backing behind your goddess, who is Marilli, who resides within Castle Morgath, protected by Morgan and her armies as they figure out what the hell they're going to do to deal with these undead. And if you say that is draining, by God, can I imagine that is draining?
Most of the preaching is done by Destiny half the time. He's just like
Delegation. Is a good
Destiny's
thing.
like, he's like, I've been given this thing, but every now and then it's like, you gotta talk to these people. They assume that you're like you're the one to do this, so he has to give like short little, mostly communist-filled speeches.
There you go.
Yeah, that's his bit. And also his outfit looks a lot more elaborate, as you've been seeing kind of just like his technological advances have gotten so far that people don't really see the difference between what he does and what magic looks like. You know, he insists that it's not, but like people are just like,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Due to that magic, it almost fuels their belief that yes, you are blessed by the goddess and you do these wonderful miracles, which makes you positive.
Like it makes me very frustrated. Because it's different than just magic, because he could just give you something and you could do it too. Like it's very much like this new science thing he keeps going on about is a gift from the gods, clearly. And
the goddess bestowed him the
like-
power of science.
yeah, he dislikes it very much. But yeah, his outfit's very different. He's got a lot of cool various accoutrements. The most important things are his boots that kind of they have like these little things on them, cylinders on them that like spurt flame. And it doesn't happen all the time, but he can just like kind of fly with those now. And then also his outfit has these wisps, because I switched it from whatchamacallit, studded leather to smoldering studded leather, because I can make magic items now. And he so it just looks like the white doctor's coat always kind of looks like it's flaming, these white flames like moving on their own. So it's like a very intimidating figure.
This is your new pontiff. But it is very early. Like I said, this is the start of the day. You've awoken. uh, you're ready to truck out, and uh, yesterday you went west, today you're going east, and you're gonna kind of dip down into the Vanatirian Peninsula. You're gonna try to see if you can find some people in that northwestern area, an Elysian west, not a real west, and
Of course.
determine who might still be alive. You never know who could wander into these parts. But kind of to describe your clinic a little bit, Pontiff Watts, it is kind of similar to Azrael's orphanage. It's a very large building that you've assumed here within Olin. It actually was an inn. It was that really bad inn you guys ate at, and like the food was terrible, and you hated it. Like that, it has been converted into your clinic. So you have all of the rooms to serve as like sick rooms. You've converted the main area into both like a waiting area, but also kind of a quick medicine area where like if someone comes in with like a broken bone or a scrape, you can just take care of it real quickly. You've even sort of brought in some staff to assist you, though they can't do anything like major. Like Destiny and Faith can do some like minor touch-ups. Maybe a few other people you've gathered can do some minor touch-ups and things. So anything major, especially related to beckoning sickness, is basically taken care of by you. And you have a whole separate building like across the street that you house the people with that sickness to try and quarantine them away from everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So this morning, as you awaken and head up from the basement, Pontiff Watts, you're used to basements for your clinics. You can't quite get away from them being your, I guess, home for the moment. The kind of solitude, the quiet that you're able to gather. You head your way up, and you actually see Kumi in the empty waiting area. Being so early, no one is there, and she has a large box, and you see her, taking these long blue roots. They almost look like blue carrots, and she's grabbing them and she's putting them in the boxes. She just has a large pile of them. It seems that there's been a harvest. They've managed to harvest some additional ones, but it's like 5 a.m. right now.
Hey, make sure you're careful with those. We're gonna need every single one of them.
Yeah, I know. I'm the couple of people over in the other wing, they weren't feeling so hot, and we didn't have the other box ran out, so I figured I'd just stay up late and harvest these ones. It's a lot of work. These things are hard to dig up.
Yeah, it is not easy, but we're doing the best we can. Thanks for helping.
Midnight oil. Oh, and she hands you one, just in case you find someone on the road.
Thank you. I will make sure to put this to good use. Have you slept? How are you feeling?
I have not slept at all. I have been up since 7 a.m. yesterday. So when this is done, I'm going to bed.
Okay. Well, then how about I help you out here and we can cut that time in half because you're going to need your rest.
I got it. You got stuff to go to, Pontiff. You've got to, if you don't go out and start saving people now, who are you going to miss?
I don't like you. I don't like it when anybody calls me that. Still, Dr. Watts is fine. And it should only take me a second. I am really fast.
Okay, well, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We are... Faith tells me we're family now. So, the best I can do.
I like it. Did you go about helping her pack up these roots? Good thing to note with Kumi, she's like 11, 12 when you first met her, so she's like 14, 15 right now. It's a great thing to note that some of the younger people are now quite a bit older.
Also, I'm guessing her parents are dead?
No, her mom is still around.
Okay, because you had said in the message that, that was different. So, cool.
Did I say they were dead in the message?
You said we were family, and I was like, she had a family?
Yeah, I think it's more of like your group is a family, less of like you've taken her in. Her mother is still alive. Probably helps out around here occasionally, when she's able to. If you let her.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, definitely. We'll take all the hands we can get.
All right. So you finish helping, pack up this route. Kumi gets the box, she gets it nailed up, and she begins taking it to the house across the street where it will be stored for the people who need it over there. One thing, Jamie, that you very quickly realize as you're packing this away, based on what Kumi said, if this is truly the roots that you have and the previous store ran out, there is not much left. The cultivation is going slower than the spread of the sickness, which spells not great things.
Makes sense. That's unfortunate. There's not a whole lot of other options we have right now. And we know that it's airborne, right?
It seems to be a miasma that the undead just sort of excrete.
So it's not
So-
like a...
So yes, airborne, but not like it's an invisible airborne pathogen kind of thing. Like you kind of can see it happening when it's happening.
Okay. Yeah. Well...
And not all undead
We're gonna
seem
have to...
to spread it. Only certain ones do. So you've kind of been able to navigate what seems to be more threatening versus less threatening.
Cool. Well, then I know I'm supposed to go somewhere right now, but I'd probably take a lap around wherever like the resting people are, like the people who are healing, double check, everybody's dressings and
Sure.
and any wounds, and just kind of like make my rounds.
You currently have about 40 patients, not including the ones with beckoning sickness. They have things like illnesses like colds, flus, pneumonias, all the way to just battle injuries, since Olin's been in a constant state of fighting for the last 2.5 years.
Cool. Well, I'm checking on everybody.
Yep, you give everyone a good check. Most everyone seems to be in working order for their situation. The ones with the lightest wounds probably will be good to head out by the afternoon. Some of the people with the more heavy, debilitating ones will be here much longer. Your rooms are currently housing about 2 to 3 people per room at the moment.
Got it.
So they're pretty
Okay.
cramped. So you give everyone a good check there, Jamie, and as you're kind of making your way, out, unless there's something else you need to do for your rounds. Okay, cool. As you're making your way out to the streets of Morgath, so you can leave and start seeing if you can find more survivors. Destiny is actually up. It took you a little bit of time to do all this. Destiny's now up, and he's sort of outside waiting for you, watching his kind of the town is waking up, and everyone is going about their business. Brother, good to see you.
Likewise. I was just about to head out. I wanted to make sure all the patients were doing good.
Good. No way. I got it while you've got your end. You can
Okay.
trust me in faith with a little bit more. If you trusted me with the preaching, you can trust me with some of the medical stuff too.
Deceiving large groups of people is something that I know you're very good at, and I've never seen you handle a scalpel. So I think we're good
I'm
where
not
we're at.
saying
Right?
I need to do heavy surgery, but I can change it. Wrapping.
Oh, okay. You can change a wrapping.
I can change.
Is this in 3 years you learned how to change a wrapping? Wow. Maybe we should have beckonings more often.
Well,
You could learn some
hey,
more
some
life
people-
skills.
Hey, some people learn and grow as things change. Look at you. Today you have a pretty big speech to give about the goddess.
Oh my goodness! Can't you give this speech?
No, I've given the last 4 speeches. You have to give this one.
If I'm pontiff, I should be able to tell you to do whatever I want.
Well, you should. But brother, if people don't hear from the pontiff, what are they going to think? They're going to think the pontiff doesn't care about them.
Or I can set up a talk box, and I can just say, like,
It's
you know,
not
you
the
press the
same.
button and you,
The people like when you and Marilli stand next to each other and you say things.
not Marilli.
The goddess, then.
I mean,
So
mhm.
that's what needs to be done. I may
Okay,
have learned to
well-
change your rapping in 3 years, and you're going to learn to talk to people.
I talk to people all the time. I just talked to
do.
40 patients.
You do. I'm saying you're going to learn to talk to people and be charismatic about it. Because telling them that they have a broken bone, not being particularly bedsidey about it is one way. You need to heal people here. Can't see my chest here. That's what we're working on.
You know, I liked it better when you were just like a 2-bit grifter and not some sort of humanitarian.
Well, I still consider myself a bit of a 2-bit grifter. I made you Pontiff, and we're currently preaching a load of nonsense right now. But it's a little bit better than pinching coin off sick grannies now.
You know, I'm glad it only took a global apocalypse for you to figure that out.
And I'm glad it's taken a global apocalypse for you to learn to open up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see about that. He's gonna click his boots, and fire erupts from them like a big old. It looks, the spell is like a dragon thing, so it's gonna be like they look like dragon wings of fire behind his feet. I'm about to take off unless I got something else to do.
Destiny just says as you're taking off, "It's 5 o'clock, Pontiff. The city square.
Well, can't hear
Please
you.
do not be late.
Zombies.
If you're late, the
Boom,
people will
and I-
be sad again."
He flies off a
Well-
trail of fire towards the undead wilderness or whatever.
We're working on it. We're working on it. It's all good. Kumi, why don't I help you with some of those roots there, and we see about getting some of the potions made for the sick. And you kind of see Destiny wander off into the other building. Also, Faith has awoken. She kind of sees you take off. She kind of overheard some of your conversation from the window. She just kind of looks out. She's just like, "It's really starting to feel like home a little bit." She goes about her day and begins to work a little bit. So, Pontiff Watts, you have left to, gather up who you can and bring them back to Morgath. You're able to travel pretty far, I believe, with this spell.
Well, yeah,
So-
the spell increases my speed by 20. Obviously, long strider. Obviously, extra
and then
thing.
you've got
and
all
I
your
hate-
other mobility stuff, so you
Yeah.
book it
Yeah.
pretty far. So you can make it easily to the Vanatirian Peninsula and back before night, before your arraigned appointment to, speak on behalf of the goddess. But you are off doing your thing. We're gonna jump over to Sentinel real quick. Sentinel, you are currently, so you're in the castle right now. As the morning has come and you've awakened, you've had your meager small breakfast. All food is rationed right now. And probably not a big deal to you, Sentinel, ration the food and whatnot. You put your little cloak on. You got a little pendant on your cloak that indicates that you are a commanding force or a commanding member of the army of Olin. So you're all done up like a little chickie. You've got your council of chickens
Let's
and their
go.
forces behind you. Within the last 3 years, the council of chickens, what is left of them, well, the 5 council members are all still there, but the chicken armies have been decimated over the last 3 years. But there's about a few thousand of them left that still claim to fight for you.
Another
they take up a
sacrifice of
very-
these noble people.
They take
Yeah.
up a small section of the city, and people claim it just smells horrible. And Morgan has asked you to deal with it because it smells horrible, and you're working on that. But that's not what you need to worry about today. Because today you have a very important task, Sentinel. Would you like to know what that task is?
I would.
Doing nothing except to train Joel Stevenson how to use a sword, something he's been practicing for the last 2.5 years. He's getting better. But you wake up, you don your cloak, you gather your beak axe, you head out to the, castle proving grounds, kind of the barracks where all the soldiers go. And there you see Joel, in his kind of like padded armor, his wooden sword. He's tapping it on like a wooden post. Nugs is there, kind of just to watch and observe, but it's just the three of you right now. Joel kind of sees you. It's like, "What's up, Teach? Bright and early, ready to rip it."
I appreciate that. Seems like you're excited, more and more excited each day.
Hey, the bruises on my thighs and my back and my ass and my shoulders and my arms every day remind me how excited I should be.
Well, that's good, because those will be the least of your worries on the battlefield. So you better get used to them now.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. I know we're still using the wooden swords, but I was thinking, why don't we put the wooden ones away and try some real steel today?
Only when you're ready, Joel. And I'll
Well,
let you know when you're ready.
Am I not ready?
Not just yet.
Okay, I've been practicing with Dale, and I've been practicing with Elise and her husband, and I'm getting pretty fucking good at it, I'm not gonna lie.
All right. Well, let me see some of your morning drills. And
I'm sure Elise has a husband.
Yeah, Elise
Yeah.
is 18 and married now. Things change. There are small fleeting moments of happiness despite the dark times.
Who got married?
Elise.
She is still part of the cure, but she has a husband now who is a performer and pickle maker.
Oh, what? Oh, I would have. Oh, that's actually really sweet. Was
Honestly-
I involved in some way?
Honestly, if you were pontiff at the time, you could have
Probably.
married them.
Yeah.
They could have-
Oh, dope.
His name is
I would have.
Cedric.
I would have definitely done that, and I would have also given the whole like, "You better be cool to my little girl" speech.
Because I believe you had gotten up as real. Elise has a husband.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
small moments
for
of
her.
joy. And Joel had
Yeah.
mentioned that he has been training with Dale and Elise and Cedric, who is the husband, who is a performer and pickle maker. So not really a swordsman, but he does what he can.
Are those two things simultaneous, or are they separate?
It's separate. Pickle making's more of a hobby. He's a performer by
Oh,
trade,
okay.
but passionate about pickles.
So he
Gotcha,
doesn't do
gotcha.
He makes
performative pickle making.
for his
He doesn't do
he's like,
performative pickles.
Oh,
Watch me open this pickle jar in one twist.
The lid. The lid.
lid.
It's just
Lid
a lot
Cedric.
of him waiting for things to brine up.
Firmly grasp it.
Whoa.
As Joel has made this comment, Nugs says, "Well, Sentinel, I actually believe it might be a good idea if you do practice with real steel today. If he's not up for the challenge, he'll realize it very quickly. But you
I'll-
are the teacher."
I'll think on it for a moment, and then just with a small smile, I will go to a small cabinet of several weapons and grab a short sword to hand over to Joel, and
Yeah. He takes it from you. Doesn't realize how much heavier it is than the wooden one he's been holding. Oh, a little bit more weight. But you know what they say? Can't be the champion of the goddess if you can't hold a short sword, right? Don't know how to use your sword? Huh? Yeah, no, okay, let's do this.
all right, Joel.
All right. Sentinel, how do you conduct Joel's training?
We're gonna do a good old Hercules training montage where there are a series
Saying
of
I could go the
obstacle
distance.
courses and as scenarios that we've seen in battle. You know, gearing, because really we're not trying to just make Joel a all-around fighter. We want him. We know the enemy, and so scenarios that are very similar to the undead horde that comes in situations like that, so you can get used to fighting undead in large swarms.
All right. So you sick Joel upon the obstacle course that you have had built for him, a gauntlet of climbs, tumbles, tussles, swings, dodges, and dips, and deeks. If you can dodge a wrench,
Dives
you
and
can dodge the
dodge.
ball. Dodge, dip, duck, dive.
Dip
I don't
and
remember them all. Dodge. But so Joel he's going through
Teaching
all this
Gohan to
now,
dodge.
holding a real short sword, which is significantly more heavy and a little bit more unwieldy than the wooden ones. He's struggling a little bit more, but he's doing his best, and you'd probably give him a solid B- Sentinel if you were to really grade on a curve. Maybe a C if you weren't. But he's getting better. From the young man that didn't want to pick up a blade the first time you met him to basically came to you the moment you all arrived in Olin and just flat out looked you in the eye, Sentinel, goes, I need you to teach me how to use this. Like, I have to know. Kind of at that moment, you realize that something snapped or changed in Joel. And this wasn't about pizza. This wasn't about fame and glory. This was about something else. That's why you took this on. Joel goes about his training regimen, something it'll be at for probably a good hour before he gets the actual sparring. Sun has now climbed over the castle, warming the training grounds ever so slightly, though it's still a brisk 20 degrees outside. Not that you notice, you're big and fluffy and full of feathers. But coming out in a thick woolen coat, clutching his own longsword at the size, Dale steps up and notices Joel riding his gauntlet. He seems to be doing a touch better than he was when he first started.
He definitely has improved quickly. He's got a fire in him that I don't think any of us have seen.
Good. He needs it. Everyone needs it in these times. If you don't find him out here swinging his sword, he's either got his face down in that book, or he's off fraternizing with Marilli doing, well, things.
Yes, yeah.
Young love, you could say. Interesting how those things change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here for just talking about our little fledgling champion, though.
What are you here for?
Morgan sent me a message this morning. Word from the front. Castle Dinval.
And?
It's fallen. The undead took it last night. Took down the entire outer wall. The 30 men stationed there. All dead. Not a single survivor. We're lucky we pulled some of them out the other day, when the castle wall had been reported damaged and infirmed, and hoped we'd been able to repair it, but we weren't able to get the builders there quick enough. It's 30 dead soldiers. I think I may have made a mistake in this command.
We all are doing what we can with the resources that we have.
Sure.
And we all know the risks at this point. It's no time to second guess ourselves. And you're among the best that we have, Dale.
Castle Dinval represented the last bastion of defense for us before the undead from the Vanatirian Peninsula and Gamar's forces arrive in Orlin. They will be here on the doorstep of Morgath before we think they will. We'll need to be ready for that. It could be a week, it could be a month. Morgan wants you, myself, and Tetra to discuss battle strategies, and possibly pulling in some of our forces from some of the other towns. The people won't like it, but we can house some of them within the city. With Pontiff Watts arrives, you should discuss with him about some allocation of them around the city. He has a good idea of places that might be able to hold some people, as well as places that they can be kept safe.
Sounds like you have a plan. I think it absolutely would be good to gather us all together and concentrate our forces on one last stand.
I wouldn't call my plan much of that. I'd more call it a idea. I hope you'll come with a few yourself, and I'm sure Tetra, with her inability to not be loud, has her own. So it should be a rousing conversation between the four of us.
I'm sure.
And when you finish here, you'll find us in the meeting chambers. Oh, and Joel decided that he should probably get a few licks in with some of the forces as well, if you don't mind, Grand Teacher. Got a few boys that might be looking for a good spar. We figured he would be a suitable punching bag. Let him know what a real battle is, besides just training with a chicken. Guardian foul, excuse me.
I pull Joel over and I said, "What do you think about that, Joel?"
What? I was running the obstacle course.
If you haven't heard, Dale wants to see if you're up and ready to join some forces here for a few small scuffles.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right. What are we doing? Mud wrestling? Thumb wrestling? Arm wrestling? I'm ready for any of it.
Dale?
It's gonna be a bit more than that. Maybe some sword wrestling. You'll get your licks in, don't worry. Joel seems excited, but then he stops for a moment, looks over to you, Sentinel. 3 o'clock, though. I was supposed to talk to Marilli. Is that still okay?
Like 3 o'clock as in like this is conflicting with his
A bit, possibly. Very, very important goddess-related things, champion all. Immensely important. Required, even. Lots of studying.
Yeah. Joel, I think you have to figure a priority at this moment. And the undead are on our doorstep. And as the goddess I'm sure needs much attending from you, I think
I got
she'll
a
be
new
okay.
checkers board.
Yeah, you can enjoy the checkers board sometime later.
Shit. All right. Well, I'm game for it. Put me on the front lines. Maybe not the front lines. Put me on the third lines, and I'll be ready and raring to take down some undead.
Third one.
And I will, with sword in hand to him, saying that it's his, I will hand him over to Dale as his newly fitted soldier.
Excellent. You look ready for the front lines. Oh, I guess the third lines, like you said, Joel. Maybe the sixth lines. I don't know. You're a little scrawny. It's all right. I'll get him set up. And I'll see you inside the Queen's chamber, Sentinel. And when the Jamie returns, bring him along too. There's much to discuss here. And Dale kind of ushers Joel away and takes him to where he's going to be doing his training with the lads. He will not enjoy it. It will be quite rigoring, we could say. Probably some of his most rigorous training that he's had since deciding to undertake this 2-year journey. But, Sentinel, that kind of frees you up until your meeting. And is there anything else you would like to do before we move on to the Queen's chambers with pretty much everyone?
Not that I can think of.
So some time passes, and Sentinel, you meet with Dale, Tetra, Queen Morgan. They say it's her chambers, but it's like her like ready room or her like their planning room. There's like a map of Olin. They've got pieces around that indicate like your structures, your forces, the enemy, those kind of things. They're sort of all gathered around the table. Nugs joins occasionally, but today she is not. And shortly afterwards, Pontiff Watts also arrives after having been summoned. A bit later in the day here. Jamie, you were able to get about 10 people in your journeys and convince them to come back with you. After they were surrounded by undead, your ability to simply run by them and scorch the undead into oblivion made it quite the sight, and they were quick to follow the guy that by simply walking can harm the enemy. If I'm understanding the spell right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's dope.
So you've also arrived after kind of being summoned the moment you got back, sort of thing. Just another thing to add to your long, weary days.
Heavy on that haste potion.
Heavy on that, yeah. You might have a little bit of a haste addiction right now. You do a little bit of that in the morning.
Yep, just a little bit to get that.
A little caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
you
meeting
arrive-
up with this.
Yeah, so it is Queen Morgan of Olin, obviously the leader of the forces of Olin in this whole kingdom here. Dale, the first kind of commanding general of her forces. Tetra, who serves as a second commanding general, but also a representative as the royalty of the Vanatirian Empire, despite that empire basically not existing anymore. And Sentinel. Well, remember, Tetra is the adopted sister of the Vanatirian family. She revealed that previously, though for her it's more of sort of just like a I don't care. Yeah, it's I don't care. It's a title kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's more of a commanding force, and then obviously Sentinel serves as like the third general force, and then being Pontiff yourself, sometimes you get brought into these as well if the matter is particularly important and not just related to like armies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Morgan kind of is standing at the head of the table. The piece for Fort Dinville has been removed from the map. Dale is actually the one to remove it himself, and he just throws it across the room, and you hear it click against the cobblestone. Well, that was a unfortunate and unexpected setback for us. Glad you're able to join us there, Jamie. The fort protecting us, Fort Dinval, fell this morning, unfortunately, and has been overrun by undead.
Oh, that's a great way to wake up.
Yeah, we weren't expecting it to fall as quickly as it did. Or we were at least hoping to reinforce and repair what was needed. So we're here to discuss our options. Well, Dale had the foresight to pull about 70 of the 100 that were stationed there till the repairs to the wall could be made. Unfortunately, the undead arrived and damaged the wall beyond repair, and the 30 that were there were all lost. Though, unfortunately, we haven't been able to send anyone due to the swarming undead. So, if anyone is alive, we don't know.
Okay, well, I could try to run over there and check.
I had hoped you would suggest that.
Yeah, but
Any luck with your journeys?
Got 10 people today.
Better than nothing.
So that's better than nothing. Other than that, it's mostly undead. Past anywhere we can get to. It's not getting better, if that's what you were wondering.
I guess I'm wondering how worse it's exactly getting.
Well, at this point, we have an entire armed and armored force of undead. Because the armies that we send out keep getting added to theirs. It's kind of a zero-sum game. Unless we
Almost a negative-sum game at this point.
Yeah. As far as that goes, the cure is not there yet. I don't know exactly what I need to do to figure it out, and the route is not particularly plentiful now or at all. I've never been around here for too long. We're just lucky we found it in the first place.
Right. What do you need to
So
cultivate more of it?
I couldn't tell you. I'm not a herbalist. I mean, I am, but it's a little bit different. The thing I wanted to suggest.
Yes, please.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you first.
I know I've talked about this before, but I do think I might have a way for us to kind of get out of this situation. We've talked about the other places we've been. Me and Sentinel have both seen it. The hither, thither, and yon, these other areas.
Yeah.
Getting to them, I don't know exactly how, but I think I'm close to a way to get us from one place to another. But we just need to hold out. So how much time do we have before these people come through?
Dale, how much time do we have? And kind of you see Dale sit down at the table. He puts his hand head in his hand sort of like this and goes, well, if I'm to predict what we're looking at here, the fall of Fort Dinval was our main line of defense, which means it is a straight shot from there to the walls of Morgath. We have one thing on our side, and that is the terrible cold. Gamar's forces are going to struggle against it. Even if they have cold weather gear, the undead that aren't used to the weathers of Orlin will freeze very quickly. But it'll only be a matter of time before they adapt to it. A month. I give us 1 month before we start seeing our first undead consistently on these walls. In another week, small force. 2 weeks after that, a full army. It's the only thing I can think. The rate that they're moving, from Jamie's reports, from his cure, from the things we've seen out on the battlefield. My timetable might even be generous.
Okay, well, that's not what I wanted to hear. I'm barely at a prototype.
Well, we'd be able to defend the city for probably a little longer. We have a fair number of able-bodied men and women capable of fighting, but we are relying on resources outside the city to supply the city, as well as some trades from a few of the other towns in the local area. Without that...
Sentinel. Oh, yeah.
Without that,
I was going to ask
a siege situation. A siege situation is not anything you wish to be in. Apologies, Jamie. Continue.
No, that was my thought process. But I was going to ask, what about the Citadel of Chickens, or like the temple we went to? So I don't know, how many people could that hold? I know that's north of where we are. So we could have a place to fall back to. Maybe bring the children and people we have here there.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to prepare. If you remember, it was a pretty long and treacherous journey to get there, but if we do make it, I'm sure we could create some sort of makeshift shelter, fallback station. I mean, they have the cave in there. That has some space, but it doesn't seem very large.
I will remind as well, the temple or the tomb of the Guardian Fowl, or temple of the Guardian Fowl, is the location of the system that Braska is also trying to access.
Oh,
so
okay.
That may, just because you guys would already know that,
Yes.
it just is something to keep.
That's
in
where
the
that
back of your
person
mind.
is, like in the glass, like that weird, like silhouette of a person.
Oh, that's where
Correct.
that is. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Never mind.
That's in, like, the basement of the...
It's okay. Jamie, you're exhausted. Immediately, you're just like, oh,
I was
shit,
just like,
what am I thinking?
Yeah. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time. These things are coming. Our natural defenses will slow them, but not stop them. And we don't have anywhere to fall back to or fight back with, is what you're saying.
We can fight back it just isn't going to be a battle we can win long term. I've seen some cities survive years in a siege. Given Olin's conditions and Morgath's difficulty of bringing resources in during a full siege, I'd give us 6 months at the most. Maybe a year if we really, really scratch the bottom of the barrel. But I'm talking mass starvation. I'm talking bodies on the street kind of survival at that point. Not something I would like to see.
I mean, I think if it came to that, I have a way of replicating foodstuffs.
That would help.
A pretty decent amount.
That would help.
More than one time a day. It wouldn't be good. It wouldn't taste good.
Doesn't
It'd
need
be clean
to be
water,
good.
but not enough for an entire city. So it would be something that we would have to,
Be rations.
But we wouldn't starve.
To stop,
Well,
that is
most
more
of us
likely
won't.
to get us to the year mark than a 6-month mark. So that's a moment of good.
Where's the rest of our army at?
The rest of the army is in the surrounding areas. They're at, let me get all the city names here. There's some at Lakeland, and there's some at Koenig and the Hole, which are kind of like the surrounding, like, smaller cities. They would be able to be back at Morgath within a couple days if need be. There's also obviously the garrison force as well.
Are there any like current like missions or like objectives to go try to find contact with other pockets of survivors elsewhere? Or
Yes, there has been some outreach via like just balloons, birds, travelers. Anyone you've sent out like as like a courier has not come back at all. You've gotten some nibbles from some civilizations to the north of even you, possibly the Dracokin that Ezra hails from, but you haven't been able to establish full contact with them. Occasionally, some of your troops may get into wandering contact with them, but it's not anything that, it's more of like, oh, hey, you guys are still alive. You should tell your people, like, we should team up, and then it just dies from there, to the point where it's like, did their people die? Did our people die? That kind of stuff.
yeah.
I
Ugh,
do have a
okay.
suggestion, and
Shoot.
someone here is not going to like this suggestion very much. This is Tetra talking, I should mention.
Oh. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Shoot.
Right now, morale is in the shitter. We just lost a fort, 30 people are dead, we're looking at a siege. This word's gonna start spreading around this town like wildfire. You know what the people could use right now? They could use a lovely pep talk from our pontiff here and the goddess to let everyone know it's gonna be okay. Keep the morale high, right? Right?
Mhm.
Right?
You can keep saying it for all of us if you'd like.
Hey, I'm only speaking, I think, what is on my mind specifically. I don't know about anyone else's, but we're dealing with an uphill situation. And if somebody gets a few nice words from you and from Marilli, then it might help a little bit. It might calm down the worry, even if it's not actually going to do anything.
I mean, I'd rather have our forces figured out something to do other than another placebo day, but
Well, I'm not saying just our forces, I'm just saying the general populace.
well, I'll see if Destiny
Oh, no.
Would- want to make that.
I know
thing.
Destiny would more than love to talk to the people. But you're supposed to give a speech today anyways. So, Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Plus, you and Marily look so cute up there together with your little hat.
I'm not wearing the hat, and you can't make me wear the
But you
hat.
look so good in the hat. Doesn't he look?
I
Sentinel, tell him he looks
wore
good
it
in the
once.
hat.
I will never wear the hat
Tell him he
again.
looks good in the hat. I love the hat. Makes you taller.
End goal of the campaign is to have everyone wear a silly little hat.
Yes, everyone has a stupid hat by the end of the game.
Everyone has
Everyone
a silly
wears
hat.
a dumb
And
hat.
when everyone has a silly hat, no one has. A
The
silly
Sentinel's
hat.
already had his silly hat arc where he had the party hat
Yeah,
on
Party
during the,
hat.
during the
Jamie got the
vacation.
saint
I've had
cape.
two. I've also had the sailor hat. The
Yeah,
little.
you have the
True.
sailor hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sentinel's already
And-
had his hat art. Now we need
Don't
the
forget
Doctor
the
Watts hat
stinky
art.
cape. I think
Yeah,
it's
and
an
the very
honorary
stinky
hat.
cape.
Yeah, yeah.
Cape stomp.
Cape that
So,
would
yeah,
literally
I
bring
will-
tears.
I'll just be like, I will figure out something to say.
All we need. We can figure out the nasties and the troop movements and who's gonna get to eat and not get to eat.
Okay.
Well,
Much
I'm
as I
glad that you're
don't want to.
volunteering for
Yeah.
like that.
You got the easy one. You get to tell people that the lady next to you is the goddess. We get to decide who might live and die, which kind of sucks. Not to say anyone's job here is easy. I'm sorry. It's been stressful. I think we all know that.
It's okay. That's fine. We'll figure it out.
Oh, sounds like we have some form of plan going forward, even if it is, as Jamie says, a placebo. I'll go and speak with the garrison and see if we can start routing back some of the troops back to Morgath. There's a possibility the undead could divert to Koenig and attack our pulp town, but it's not like we're using it much anyways with how cold the winters have been. Might be better to divert the people here anyways. I'll report back in the morning of what they say. Look forward to your speech, Jamie. I'm sure it will be amazingly rousing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the goddess. Everything will be fine. Amen.
Yes, here's the goddess. Everything's great.
Amen.
Yep,
See you
we're-
later.
We're good.
So, Sentinel, so kind of the council has adjourned. Tetra's gone about her way to do her work, Dale his, and Morgan hers, leaving Jamie and Sentinel, the two of you, alone in the chambers.
Ugh. It was so much easier when we were just running it in.
Yeah, you could say that. To think, I thought those were challenges back then.
Yep. I mean, I kind of feel bad for whatever undead is going to try to take that old bastard stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how that guy is doing.
Well, I haven't seen any of them anywhere near here, and I've been looking. So, but we'll figure it out, I guess. How are you holding up?
At least you've been looking. Some days it's hard to hold on hope. But I mean, there's got to be a way. There's got to be an end to this.
I told you, I really think I'm close to getting us back over to at least another plane. It could be the answer to all of this.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody can do it, I trust it's you, Dr. Watts. You got the best magic mind, I mean, science mind
Thank you.
around here.
Thank you very much. Magic got us into this mess, and I'm pretty sure science is going to get us out.
Well,
But yeah. Ugh. How are the chickens holding up, actually, now that we have a second?
yeah. You know, they're still holding on to the hope that they got something in the end of this, and every day I think they probably deserve more. And so I
I
hope when
just
we do get out of this, then they have as much land to roam free in and rule with her iron
With an iron
fist.
block.
Yeah.
With an iron
I-
beak.
sans the Iron Fist tyranny
Yeah.
part.
We-
I agree with you.
Yeah, I hope we can teach them a thing or two by the end of this. Set them on the right foot.
And I would make sure you take some time next time you're around there to just let them know to probably give any humanoids they see a wide berth until we, give them a okay. Just because
Yeah.
we're about to start a siege. And
I didn't even
the
think
whole
about
idea that chickens are sentient hasn't really gone around. Everyone's not going to remember that when people get hungry.
Yeah.
So just maybe tell them to keep to Chicken Town and stay out of sight.
Yeah.
Chicken.
Well, we'll make sure that they know to play a little Andy's here when people walk around, and we have some guards posted there, so then they can pretend to be shepherds of a large chicken flock if if anybody starts becoming wise.
Heard. Okay. Well. Yeah. Well, that's everything then, I guess.
Well-
I just kind of hoped we'd had better news today.
Yeah. I wish I had better news to give to you. I don't know how's the pontiff stuff going on. I know, you'd rather have your time devoted elsewhere, but
Yeah.
people really need it.
Clearly, it's not my favorite, as I've said. And honestly, I feel like it's a waste of time, but it's been keeping people here instead of trying to run off into the cold and getting themselves killed. And, I mean, it's better than me than Destiny, I guess.
Yeah, at least you can control what comes from the pulpit here and there, and instead of leaving that up to your brother.
Mm-hmm. And, maybe we can start pushing people to the right, or a better direction, I should say.
Yeah. Everybody's going to be looking for a new start out of this somewhere. And so no time like the present.
Especially because Peter, or whatever, is apparently flying around brandishing himself some sort of, I don't know, savior figure. It's going to be a fight to get people to get on the right side of this.
Yeah, and better, I think keeping people in good spirits here has them less looking for another voice to lead them.
Yep, and so here I am, captain of the nonsense squad.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Okay, you've been hanging out with Joel more than I have.
Oh, I don't think it's that much nonsense. The door opens, and Merle comes in. It's only nonsense if it's not helping people, but we are helping people.
Whatever you say, G. Whatever you say.
Please don't call me G. It's almost as bad as being called goddess. I'd rather you just call me Marily, please.
Well, that wouldn't make sense, seeing how you're not Marily, so I'm gonna call you G.
Last time I checked, I am Marily, so I would prefer to be called Marily. Or M, if you'd rather just stick to the, single letter things. I'm gonna call you J.
J actually is a great name, and
That is a pretty good
I've
name.
also checked Well, last time I checked, we found Morelli's body, and you are some sort of amalgamation of memories or a husk or something. But this entire time doesn't really bother me. But if you would rather M, that works too.
Hey, whatever works for you. Dale mentioned that you are giving a big speech, and you're going to add a little bit of a secret sauce into that. So I figured I'd see what the game plan was, since we'll be doing it together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Always love that.
I don't, you know, I admire what you do. I just wish you wouldn't be so, hostile to me about it.
I'm not hostile to you. I'm hostile to the system that your existence and the continued work in represents.
Well, I didn't ask to be part of it.
Oh, well, look at that. Something in common.
And we have a common ground. But I was thinking a little bit of pizzazz maybe today, maybe a little bit of flash. Something Joel talked to me about the other day, that people really like bright flashes. I don't know, might get him to pay attention.
Bright flashes.
Bright flashes.
Got it. So, the goddess of all of our world,
Marilli.
thought process here is bright flashes.
Hey.
I'm so glad we have one of these.
Hey, I'm doing my best here.
It's called the
I don't think half the
Yeah.
I don't think half the people would be in this city if we weren't working together on this. So I'd like to keep it that way and keep things amicable.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, we'll put some bright flashes into it.
That'd be fun. It was a Joel idea.
I could tell.
Well, yeah, a lot of his ideas are pretty obvious. But I know you'll have the right words to say.
We'll try our best. Otherwise, I'll just stand there and look righteously inspired.
You and me both. I will say, once this whole beckoning thing is done, though, if it's done, I am going to take a very long vacation, maybe to a small island, and not worry about being called the goddess anymore. And maybe I'll open a pizza restaurant, and I'll serve pizza out of it, as just Marilli. That sounds kind of nice.
You know, as far as dreams go, there are a lot less harmful ones, and I'm sure that you'd make a fine pizza.
Dale makes better pizzas, but I've learned a thing or two. I'm the only one who's ever cooked with dead, rotting rat before.
Well, that's great. We're all really happy about that.
Hobbling special. It was disgusting. I almost threw up.
Yeah, I think I've treated someone who came through who had a double helping of the hobbling special. And I can guarantee you that if our enemies weren't the crawling undead, we would have a weapon unlike anyone has ever seen before.
Oh, that is a great idea. Send them rotting rat pizzas. That's, well, I guess chemical warfare would that be? Or digestional?
I think that's somewhere on a crime against all of nature. It's
Yeah.
its own thing.
Perhaps war crimes isn't something we should be thinking about right now.
No, we'll save that for the next genocide war.
Hopefully we won't be alive when it happens. Or it'll be fixed and won't.
Oh, well, here's hoping religion will lead us to a world without any sort of strife or pain after this is all over.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. All I know is right now, it seems to be working for what we need at this moment in time, and we can deal with the after effects after.
That's the only thing we can do.
It's the only thing we can do. At this moment, as you guys are kind of having this conversation, the lights within the chamber suddenly dim. A bright light and greenish circle erupt along the floor, sparking and lighting the room far grander than any of the torches. the bright flashes that Merle talked about. There's a zap and a pop and a crackle and a bang. 4 figures stand before you. One clad in dark robes, the other 3 far, far more familiar to you. But that's what we'll end tonight's session, and we'll pick it up next week.
Let's
Wow.
go. We're here. And we made our grand entrance too. Look at that.
We're in the
Yeah, you made it real
party
great.
now.
Gang's getting back together. One
Okay,
last ride.
one last. Just want to play the boys are back in town just every session. It's like the most generic like movie end credit scene. It's just the boys are back in town just playing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Avengers soundtrack. You guys teleported in on the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
Yes, there we